Tonight, we slip quietly into the final and most solemn part of a story that has followed us like a shadow through childhood dreams, moonlit wand duels, and candlelit corridors. The journey is nearing its end, but not before one last walk through. Darkened forests, forgotten spells, and moments of quiet, glowing bravery. This is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. A tale not only of endings, but of courage whispered in silence, of love stronger than fear, and of the kind of magic that lives in every farewell. And as you listen, you do not need to solve or wonder or fear. You only need to drift, to follow the rhythm of the tale, to let it carry you softly, as if being told in the hush of a tent beneath the stars. You are safe here. Safe among old friends, ancient legends, and the last embers of a war fought with both wands and hearts. So let's begin, not with loud cries or clashing spells, but with stillness, with candlelight flickering in the window pane, with a boy standing at the threshold of everything he's ever known, and everything he has yet to understand. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows is the 7th and final book in the magical series written by J.K. Rowling, a story that grew darker and deeper with every volume as childhood gave way to shadow and truth replaced illusion. It is the longest and perhaps the quietest of all the books, not because there is no danger, but because the danger here feels ancient, heavy, like walking through mist in a graveyard or hearing a prophecy whispered through a keyhole. The genre is a soft entangling of dark fantasy, mystery, and emotional drama. But here, for you, it becomes something slower, something warmer. We'll tread softly through its storms, holding close to the warmth of friendships and the flicker of hope, even in the deepest dark. At the heart of this story is the trio we know well. Harry, brave and stubborn, carrying more than a boy should ever be asked to bear. Hermione, luminous with wisdom and empathy, fierce with quiet loyalty. Ron, grounded and golden, torn between fear and love, but never far from laughter, even in shadow. Together, they are no longer students, no longer protected by enchanted walls. They are fugitives now, wanderers in a world that's turning colder, darker, and more uncertain with every passing hour. The Ministry of Magic is falling. The name of Voldemort, no longer just a word spoken in fear, is now a presence, thick and looming, like a storm on the horizon. And yet, amid this darkness, a strange new puzzle rises. The Deathly Hallows, an old tale, a symbol, a whisper. From a children's story that may hold the final key, not to defeating an enemy, but to understanding a truth more powerful than any spell. And through all of it, there are questions that drift like leaves in the wind. What did Dumbledore truly plan? What did he truly hide? And why must Harry walk this path alone? But tonight, you don't have to chase those answers. You can let them float past, like fireflies in a deep forest. We will go slowly, together, through forests and graveyards, through broken homes and hidden memories, through laughter shared in fleeting safety, and tears shed in silence. Each chapter will unfold gently, like the turn of a soft, worn page. We'll explore each moment, the footsteps, the spells, the glances, the small, unspoken things, so that you can lie back, close your eyes, and be guided through the story as if it's a lullaby. A dream spoken slowly into the quiet night. Because Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows is not just about war or magic. It's about letting go, about holding on, about what remains when everything else is gone. It is most of all about the invisible threads that tie us to one another, and how love, even in its quietest form, can become the most powerful magic of all. So if you're ready, take a deep breath. Let the softness wrap around you. Let the shadows settle in like a blanket over the hills. And together, let's begin. The last story. A story where goodbyes carry the weight of love, and where the end is not an ending, but a homecoming. Are you comfortable? Then let the candle burn low. And I'll begin with Chapter 1. The Dark Lord Ascending. Chapter 1. The Dark Lord Ascending. There is no dawn here, only mist. The sky is a low ceiling of cloud, pale and bruised, and the wind, if it moves at all, moves like breath through a keyhole, thin, steady, and cold. And beneath it all, down. Winding lanes and iron gates stands a manor house, tall, proud, silent as stone, Malfoy Manor. Once a place of splendor, now it holds its breath. Its windows reflect no light. Its rooms seem to lean inward, listening. For tonight, within those walls, the most dangerous wizard in the world has returned, and he is not alone. The dining room is long and gleaming, all silver and shadow. A high-backed chair sits at the head of the table like a throne, empty for now, but the figures around it sit stiffly as though they feel the weight of its presence. The Death Eaters. Cloaked in dark robes, they sit in silence, some with eyes lowered, others glancing sideways, but none are at ease. For above them, suspended like a marionette in sleep, floats the quiet, unmoving form of a woman. She is unconscious. Her hair is wild, and her body turns slowly, slowly in the air above the table like a leaf caught in still water. No one speaks. And then, the air seems to contract. A whisper moves through it, and Lord Voldemort enters. He glides rather than walks. His robes make no sound. His face, pale as paper, is expressionless, save for his eyes, which glow red and strange. His fingers are long, delicate, as if he were made not of flesh, but shadow and thought. He sits. The room exhales, but no one relaxes. To Voldemort's right is Lucius Malfoy, his face thinner than we remember, his hair falling around his shoulders like silk. He looks nothing like the proud, sneering man we once saw at the Quidditch World Cup. Now he is diminished, hollowed by fear. Next to him sits his wife, Narcissa, her posture tight, her expression unreadable. And beside her, their son Draco, older, now, but his eyes are distant, his hands motionless. Even among enemies, he looks adrift. Voldemort surveys them with cool detachment, like a scholar observing insects beneath glass. He speaks, quietly. There is talk of plans. Harry Potter is the target. The boy must not be killed by another's hand. No, Voldemort insists he must do it. For there is a prophecy, and he intends to fulfill it on his own terms. The boy is moving soon, they say, from his safe house. There is an opportunity, and Voldemort will take it. But wands. Yes, wands are curious things. He speaks of the twin cores, how his own wand and Harry's share a heart, and how in their last encounter they refuse to kill one another. This is unacceptable. Voldemort needs a different wand, one that will not hesitate. And so he turns to Lucius. With the smallest, coldest smile, he asks for Lucius's wand. Lucius does not protest, but something in him flickers. He places his wand in Voldemort's outstretched hand, and it is like watching a man give away the last of his pride. Voldemort examines the wand like a curio. So light, so fragile, and yet such power. Then his eyes drift upward to the woman, floating above. Some recognize her now. Charity Burbage, a Hogwarts teacher. Kind-hearted, believer in unity between magical and Muggle worlds. A dreamer, perhaps. A gentle mind. She stirs, and then she wakes. Confused, blinking in the candlelight, she sees the faces below her. She sees Voldemort, and she pleads, not for herself, but for the children, for understanding, for peace. But her voice is lost in a room already decided. Voldemort raises Lucius's wand, testing it casually, like one might flick a feather. In the breeze, there is a flash, and the body falls. No scream, just silence. Nagini, the great serpent coiled at Voldemort's feet, hisses softly. Her hunger has grown. With a gesture of impossible ease, Voldemort feeds her the fallen woman. The room does not stir. No one dares. There is no discussion after that. No open cruelty. No celebration. Just stillness. Because cruelty here is quiet. It arrives dressed in silk and spoken in calm tones. There is no blood on the floor, no mess to clean up. Only a silence so deep it feels like it stretches down through the bones of the house. Voldemort reclines. The meeting continues. They speak of spies, of control, of seizing the ministry. The war has already begun, but in this room it is planned with soft voices and nods. And beneath it all, the tension lingers like perfume, unseen but suffocating. As the chapter closes, we drift away from the manor, leaving behind those shadowed faces, that long table, and the flickering candlelight. Outside, the wind still moves. The sky still hangs heavy, but now a deeper shadow has settled over the land. The Dark Lord has ascended, and the world is about to change. Chapter 2, In Memoriam. The night has passed, not in peace but in pause. And now the morning comes, muted and gray, filtered through a bedroom window whose glass is smudged with time and rain. Here, in a small upstairs room at number 4, Privet Drive, a boy nearly grown stands still. Harry Potter is 17 now. His shoulders are broader, his face leaner, but this moment is not about age. It is about remembering. The silence in the room isn't empty. It's full of memories, each one hovering in the air like motes of dust suspended in light. Today is the day he leaves, and yet, instead of packing, Harry lingers. He moves slowly through the room, his hand brushing over old things, photographs, letters, scraps of the past that seem almost like dreams now. His firebolt leans by the door. A rucksack sits half-packed on the floor, but his gaze drifts to something else, to the cupboard beneath the stairs. It's been years since he lived there, but still he opens it. Inside, the small, suffocating space is empty. But Harry looks at it as though he can see a boy still curled within it, pale and quiet, counting spiders to pass the time. He closes the door gently, no longer with anger, only with acceptance. Upstairs again, he walks to the mirror. His reflection looks back. Not quite a boy, not yet a man. The scar still sits like a whisper above his brow. But today, he's not, just Harry. He is someone who carries the weight of the world he didn't ask to enter. And still, he carries it. On the desk lies a photograph, worn at the edges. It's of Dumbledore, the headmaster who once seemed as eternal as the stars. Now gone. Harry has read the obituary, published in the Daily Prophet by Alpheus Doge, one of Dumbledore's oldest friends. It is long and formal, filled with tales of Dumbledore's brilliance, his early duels, his work with Nicholas Flamel, his battle with the dark wizard Grindelwald, his role in shaping the modern wizarding world. But it's not what Harry needs, because beneath all the accomplishments there is a silence, a missing piece. Dumbledore in life had been mysterious. Wise, yes. Kind, yes. But always holding something back. There were always things he wouldn't explain. And now that he's gone, the shadows left behind seem even longer. Harry reads the article slowly. Each word feels distant, like hearing someone describe a friend you never truly knew. And then, a second article. This one, colder. Written by Rita Skeeter. Her tone, sharp and glittering, slices through the reverence of Doge's tribute. She promises a scandal. Her upcoming book, The Life and Lies of Albus Dumbledore, claims to reveal the secrets Harry never heard. Secrets of Dumbledore's youth, his family, his ambitions. Rita's words curl like smoke. Was the beloved headmaster as pure as he seemed? What was he hiding? And why did he leave so many questions unanswered? Harry's hands tighten around. The paper. It's not just the words, it's the intrusion. The thought of Dumbledore being reduced to gossip, of his memory being twisted and sold, but it's more than anger, it's confusion. Because part of Harry wonders. He remembers Dumbledore's silences, his vague answers, the way he always seemed to be looking beyond Harry, as though watching the horizon of a future only he could see. And now, with the war rising and Dumbledore gone, Harry feels adrift. unmoored, still willing to trust, but unsure of what, exactly, he is trusting. He folds the paper, sets it aside. The room feels still again, not heavy, just waiting. And then, like a distant footfall, the magic stirs. There is work to do. Harry turns from the mirror. He walks to the rucksack and begins to pack with steady hands. The invisibility cloak, the Marauder's map, a small enchanted pouch from Hagrid, capable of holding far more than its size suggests. And last of all, his wand. He does not know exactly where he is going. He only knows he will not be returning. As he packs, he thinks of Ron and Hermione. He remembers Hermione's firm words, how she'd already modified her parents' memories to keep them safe, sending them to Australia with new identities and no memory of their daughter. A choice made with deep love and deeper sorrow. He remembers Ron's quiet bravery, his resolve, the way they had both chosen to stand beside him. No matter the cost, they would be meeting soon. But first, he has one more goodbye to make. Hedwig. His snowy owl rests quietly in her cage, golden eyes watchful. She has flown beside him since his very first birthday at Hogwarts. She is more than a pet. She is a symbol of innocence, of the beginning, before everything grew dark. He strokes her feathers softly, whispers her name, and for a moment time seems to stretch. Just long enough for one more breath, one more heartbeat, one more pause before the world changes again. In the distance, the air shifts. Soon, the Dursleys will rise. Soon, the final protections will fall. But here, in this small room, Harry folds the past into silence. Not with bitterness, but with reverence. Dumbledore is gone. The world is changing. But still, Harry remains, not because he is fearless, but because he chooses to go on. Because sometimes the bravest thing is not to cast a spell or fight a battle, but simply to carry on walking, even when the road disappears into mist. And so we leave this chapter not with answers, but with quiet questions. The kind that echo, the kind that wait. Chapter 3, The Dursleys Departing. The sky over Privet Drive is soft and pale, not quite dawn, not quite full day. A liminal hour, just like the moment unfolding in the quiet house beneath it. Number 4 is waking, but not in the usual way. No clatter of breakfast pans, no thudding footsteps on the stairs, no booming voice from Uncle Vernon grumbling about toast or ties. Today, there is a stillness, a kind of hush that feels like waiting. And in that silence, Harry sits alone, listening to the house breathe. It has never been a place of comfort for him. These walls were never warm, this family never kind. But still, this was the beginning. This was the cupboard under the stairs, the locked bedroom door, the letters through the mail slot. This was where he began. Today, it will end. Downstairs, the Dursleys prepare to leave. Not for a trip, not for a holiday. They are going into hiding, because the charm that has protected Harry, and by extension them, will soon break. Once Harry turns 17, the magic will lift, and Lord Voldemort will be able to find him, which means staying here is no longer safe. For any of them, the Ministry has arranged a secure location for the Dursleys, far from the threat of magic, though ironically preserved by it. Wizards and witches they never trusted will now be their only shield. And so, suitcases sit by the door. Dudley lumbers about uncertainly. Petunia straightens the cuffs of Vernon's jacket with trembling hands. There is tension in the air, not the usual icy disdain, but something else. Something unfamiliar. Uncle Vernon, blustering and red-faced, still struggles with the idea. "Why can't he come with us?" he grumbles, pointing vaguely in Harry's direction. "Because I'm the reason they're after you," Harry replies, evenly. "Not the other way around." Vernon huffs. He's never liked being told what to do, especially by the world he doesn't understand, especially by Harry. But even he knows this isn't a debate. The Ministry has been clear. This is the plan. and they must follow it. A new voice enters the room. Hestia Jones and Daedalus Diggle, 2 members of the Order, have arrived to escort the Dursleys. They're polite but firm, bright-eyed and brisk in their explanations. They'll ensure safety. Protection, relocation, all under magical surveillance. Uncle Vernon bristles. "And who exactly are you?" Daedalus bows. "At your service, sir. We'll be your guardians for the foreseeable future. An honor, really." Vernon glares. Hestia glances at Harry, then at the Dursleys. "You don't seem very grateful," she says softly. And perhaps, finally, the weight of all that has happened, the danger, the war, the reason for their sudden departure, begins to sink in. But the shift doesn't come from the adults. It comes from Dudley. Dudley, who once stuffed cake through doors and threw punches at shadows. Dudley, who called Harry names and laughed at his bruises, now stands quietly, and then he speaks. "I don't think you're a waste of space." The room stills. Harry blinks. Dudley's face is pink, his hands clenched awkwardly, but his voice is steady. "I don't think you're a waste of space," he repeats. I don't think you are. It's not poetry. It's not an apology. But from Dudley, it is something more. It is effort. It is sincerity, and it is enough." A small, hesitant silence settles between them. Harry almost smiles. "I know you don't," he says gently. It's the first time they've seen each other, truly seen, through the haze of childhood and fear, and difference. And though it doesn't erase the past, it plants something in its place. Something like peace. Petunia stands stiffly beside her son, her face unreadable. She doesn't say goodbye, but her eyes linger a moment longer than expected on Harry's face. Something flickers there. Grief? Regret? She turns away before he can tell. Uncle Vernon clears his throat, eager to move forward, to be done with this discomfort, this world he never wanted to touch. The Order members usher them to the door. The suitcases follow, and just like that, the Dursleys leave. Harry watches from the threshold, his hand resting lightly on the doorframe. No one waves, no one cries, but still, a chapter ends, and though there are no embraces or promises, there is at last a kind of understanding. They leave not as family, perhaps, but not as strangers either. Once the house is quiet again, Harry stands alone in the entryway. His eyes scan the living room, the stiff-backed furniture, the faded rug, the photos on the walls that never included him, and then he turns away. No more waiting, no more looking back. The past has walked out the door, and the future is calling. Soon the Order will return. Soon the skies will darken with danger. But for now, Harry breathes in the silence and lets it settle. The house is empty, and so is he for a moment. But emptiness isn't always sorrow. Sometimes it's the space left behind for something new. And so, with quiet hands, he closes the door. Not in anger, but in peace. Chapter 4. The 7 Potters. The light is beginning to fade over Privet Drive. Evening stretches across the rooftops, pale and lavender, with clouds bruising gently along the horizon. Inside the house, Harry waits. Alone now. The silence feels different tonight. No longer the silence of absence, but the hush before something great. Something vast. Something inevitable. He knows they're coming. The Order, his protectors, his friends, to take him away. Tonight, he leaves not just the Dursleys behind, but childhood itself. A soft whoosh cuts the stillness. Then another, and another. Shadows flit past the windows. Boots crunch against the gravel outside. Harry rises. They've arrived. The kitchen is suddenly full, too full, with voices and warmth and movement. Familiar faces crowd in. Mad Eye Moody, ever gruff and battle-worn, his magical eye whirring as it scans the room. Remus Lupin, quiet and steady, with sadness tucked behind his smile. Kingsley Shacklebolt, calm as a river under storm. Mr. Weasley, kind-eyed and dependable as ever. And others, Tonks with her bright hair, Bill with his scars and quiet humor, Fleur graceful and focused, but most important of all, Ron, Hermione, Fred, and George. Harry feels his heart rise at the sight of them. These are not just allies. They are home. Moody lays out the plan. It's not a simple escape, too dangerous for that. The Death Eaters will expect Harry to be moved, so they've come up with something clever, something daring. 6 of them will become Harry, Polyjuice Potion. Each drinker will wear his face, his voice, his very essence for a short while. They will scatter, each accompanied by a protector, flying to different safe houses. The real Harry will be hidden among them. It is dangerous, unpredictable, but it's the only way. Harry protests at first. He doesn't want anyone to risk themselves for him, but his friends, every one of them, insist. They've chosen this, freely, with full hearts. Tonks teases, "You've never looked better, Potter." Fred and George joke about which one of them will be the most handsome Harry. Hermione hesitates before drinking hers, her eyes wide but determined. Ron grimaces as he swallows the potion, muttering something about the injustice of having to look at his own best friend's face in the mirror, and one by one, they transform. It is strange, eerie. 6 Harrys standing side by side. Their voices, slightly off, their gestures exaggerated, but their eyes still carrying the spark of who they really are. Harry watches in surreal stillness, and then they are ready. The pairs are matched. Harry, the real one, flies with Hagrid on Sirius's old motorbike. Hermione with Kingsley, Ron with Tonks, Fred with Mr. Weasley, George with Remus, Fleur with Bill. All at once they take to the sky, and the night explodes. Darkness rushes past them, wind shrieking in their ears, the motorbike roaring. Beneath them, Hagrid shouting as he swerves to avoid trees, clouds, and curses. Because yes, they were expected. Death Eaters rise from the darkness like shadows with wings, streaking spells through the air like lightning. Harry grips the sidecar, tightly, his wand drawn. Hagrid barrels through the chaos, shouting encouragement, dodging curses. One spell hits the sidecar, it breaks loose. Harry is thrown into the sky, falling, spinning, lost in the roar of wind. But he is Harry Potter, and he does not fall without fighting. He rights himself, fires back. The sky is a battlefield. Red and green lights streak across the heavens, and then Voldemort is there. Not just his followers, not just shadows. Him. Harry feels it like a cold breath on the back of his neck. A presence, vast and ancient and merciless. His wand moves on, its own, not by his choice. It casts a spell, powerful and strange, and Voldemort's wand is shattered in its path. For a heartbeat, the sky is still, and then the motorbike dives again, Hagrid pulling Harry free from the storm. They crash into the ground outside Tonks's family home. The bike is a wreck. The sky above is empty now, eerily quiet. They've made it, but not all have. One by one, the others arrive at the safe house. George is bleeding, badly. His ear is gone, blasted off in the fight. Remus looks pale, shaken. Ron and Tonks are safe. Fleur and Bill too, but no one has seen Fred, not yet. They wait, breath held, heart aching. Then, at last, Fred stumbles in, bruised but whole. There are no cheers. Only heavy relief, but one face is missing. Mad-Eye Moody, killed in battle. The mood is shattered. No one speaks for a long while. The night, once filled with motion and hope, now drips with grief. Harry sits quietly in a corner. He feels the weight of it all pressing into his chest. The loss, the sacrifice, and the fear that this is only the beginning. Later, lying on a cot, Harry watches the ceiling. He remembers the way the wind felt. The flash of green. The weight of a wand casting on its own. He wonders what it means. He wonders what comes next. But for now, there is only this. A house that is no longer quite whole. Friends with wounds they didn't expect. A world tipping toward war, and yet they are still standing, and that means something. That means everything. Chapter 5, Fallen Warrior. Dawn breaks over the countryside, soft and pale, as though the sun itself is reluctant to rise. In the aftermath of the escape, the safe house is still, the kind of stillness that follows pain. Harry wakes slowly, not from sleep exactly, but from exhaustion, the kind that roots deep into the bones, born from fear, flight, and sorrow. His eyes open to a world that feels subtly changed. Outside the window, the trees sway gently in a wind that does not touch the house. Inside, the air is thick with silence. Too many are missing. Too many were nearly lost, and one will not return. Hagrid is asleep in a chair nearby, his massive frame slumped forward, his breath low and steady like distant thunder. For a moment, Harry lets himself be still. But then the memory floods in again. The chase through the sky, the wand that cast without his command, the flash of Voldemort in the air like a storm cloud with eyes, and Moody, gone. He rises. The house stirs around him. Footsteps, voices hushed. Hermione is sitting at the kitchen table, her eyes rimmed with tiredness, Ron beside her, pale but steady. George lies upstairs, bandaged and unconscious, a white cloth pressed gently to the space where his ear once was. Fred watches over him, his usual humor muted now, replaced by something raw and wordless. The twins, always laughing, now silenced by blood, and still, they endure. Bill is the one who brings the news, quietly, with reverence. Mad-Eye Moody is dead. Struck from his broom by a curse no one saw coming. His body fell into the night. Gone. There's a hush, so complete it feels like the world is holding its breath. Lupin stands very still, his eyes shadowed. Tonks clutches his arm. She does not speak. No one does at first. Mad-Eye, gruff, unyielding, paranoid to the point of obsession, had fought too many battles to count, survived too many wars. But this time he didn't. It doesn't seem real. Harry remembers his spinning eye, his growling voice, his fierce insistence on caution. It's hard to imagine the world without him, but that is what grief is. An empty chair, an unspoken goodbye. Later, Lupin takes Harry aside. He looks worn, older than before. There is something strange in his expression, a flicker of doubt, a question he doesn't want to ask. He tells Harry about the spell his wand cast in the sky, the one that acted on its own. The wand, he says, seemed to fight Voldemort back, powerfully, unnaturally. He asks, softly, what happened? Harry tells him the truth. He felt his wand move without his will. He felt it cast a spell that shattered Voldemort's. He doesn't understand how, neither does Lupin. But there's something unspoken in the silence that follows, a weight to it, as if a deeper mystery has begun to surface. The morning stretches on. Ron makes tea that no one drinks. Hermione sits close to Harry, her hand brushing his once or twice, a quiet anchor. Bill and Fleur move about the house, preparing small things, blankets, bandages, food, anything to keep their hands busy. Grief is a strange companion. It wraps itself in the quietest tasks. The survivors try to make sense of the night, to piece together the fractured story. Fred speaks, his voice hoarse. I think George was laughing when the curse hit. Said something about not needing to hear Mum's voice anymore. They smile, just faintly, the kind of smile that trembles at the edges. George wakes later, groggy and dazed. He blinks slowly and murmurs that he hopes he can still be distinguished from Fred, or their business will suffer. Humor, even in pain. That is the Weasley way, and in that small moment something fragile yet bright flickers back to life. The mood is tender, quiet, broken, but brave. And Harry feels it stir within him. A responsibility. Heavier than before. They have risked everything. Some have bled. One has fallen. For him. It is a truth he cannot escape. He walks outside into the pale morning, the grass wet with dew, the sky high and blue above. He stares upward for a long while. The world is still turning, despite everything. He reaches into his pocket, his wand, the one that cast that spell in the sky, the one that acted alone. He turns it in his hand, slowly. It feels different now, not just a tool, but something alive, something ancient, something connected to forces he doesn't yet understand. Inside again, Hermione is reading quietly. Ron has fallen asleep, his head tilted back, mouth slightly open. Harry watches them. These are his people, his home, the people he will fight for. He knows the war is coming closer now, that the next move must be theirs. But in this moment, there is nothing to do but breathe, to rest, to remember, to feel. That night, Harry dreams of Moody's voice, gravelly and sharp. Constant vigilance, he growls. Then laughter, bright and echoing. Fred and George, a flash of green. Falling, a burst of golden light from his wand, and then silence. He wakes in the dark. The house still breathes gently around him. Outside, the wind brushes the trees. The world is holding its breath still, but Harry is not afraid. He is tired. He is aching, but he is ready, because what they have begun now cannot be undone, and he will walk forward into shadow and fire if he must, because that is what love demands. That is what memory asks of him. Mad-Eye is gone, but his fight continues. In Harry, in all of them, in the quiet courage that remains. Chapter 6. The Ghoul in Pajamas. The house is warm again. Not in celebration, not in peace, but in that fragile way homes feel after sorrow. Like a candle burning low but steady in a room full of shadows. The Weasleys, though bruised and weary, do what they always do. They press forward. Fleur moves through the house with quiet grace, her silver hair tied back, her voice soft as she tends to George. Mrs. Weasley flutters anxiously from room to room, her worry a constant hum beneath her breath, and somewhere upstairs, a strange thumping sound begins to echo at odd hours. No one talks about it, not at first. It's easier to let some things lie. But in the quiet moments, in the lulls between tea and soft footsteps, plans are beginning to form. Harry, Ron, and Hermione sit together again. The trio, still whole, still holding fast to one another as the world shifts under their feet. Ron has a bruise darkening across his collarbone, but his grin is coming back, flickering like a lantern in a tunnel. Hermione has her parchment out, quills, notes, a plan unfolding in patient lines. And Harry, he watches them with a quiet awe. This is how it's always been. The three of them, side by side, facing the impossible. Only now, there is no Hogwarts, no timetable, no safety net, just war and choice. They talk of Horcruxes, those fragments, of shadow and soul, pieces of Voldemort hidden and protected. They must find them, destroy them. It's the only way forward, but where to begin? Dumbledore left clues, fragments, whispers, a locket, a cup, something once belonging to Ravenclaw or Gryffindor. The puzzle is enormous, but Hermione's mind is sharp as ever. She's begun organizing their search, books, maps, timelines. Her fingers tremble sometimes, but her voice is steady. Harry watches her and thinks, she's braver than I'll ever be. Ron interrupts occasionally with food or jokes or questions, but he too is ready. Not just in loyalty, but in spirit. They all are. The adventure ahead is no longer a game. It is sacrifice. It is survival, and they are preparing. But others are preparing too. Mrs. Weasley is not blind to their intentions. She sees the way they huddle, the way their eyes flick to the door, and she is not ready to let them go. So she gives them tasks, long, tedious, time-swallowing chores. She splits them up, keeps them busy, prevents too much quiet planning. At first it seems ordinary. Dishes, dusting, sorting out socks. But after the third day of being separated, they begin to see it clearly. Mrs. Weasley is trying to stop them, trying to protect them the only way she knows how. With routine. With warmth. With denial. It's heartbreaking. And understandable. She's lost a son's ear. She's buried friends. She doesn't want to lose any more. Especially not Harry, who's become like a son. Or Ron, her own. Or Hermione, practically. Family. She pretends it's normal, this chaos, this wedding, this life. But under it all, she knows they're slipping away. Arthur Weasley, quiet as ever, offers a different kind of support. Not overt. Not loud, but solid. He helps them when he can, slipping in advice about ministry tracking, wand regulation, how to stay off the grid. He knows, too, that they're going, that they must, and he doesn't try to stop them, just tries to prepare them, in the gentlest ways he can. And then there's Ginny. Brave, fierce, full of that quiet fire Harry has always loved. They steal moments when they can. Small, aching touches, long glances across the kitchen. But Harry keeps a distance. He's made his decision to leave her behind, to keep her safe. But Ginny, she is not one to be left behind easily. One night in the hallway, they speak in whispers. She stands close enough to feel her warmth. "I know why you're doing this," she says, her voice barely a breath. "But I don't have to like it." He wants to hold her, to promise her something. Anything. But there are no promises now, only paths that must be walked alone. And still, that thumping noise continues upstairs. Soft, rhythmic, strange. Eventually, Ron lets them in on the secret. A ghoul, in pajamas, living in the attic. Yes, really, they've disguised him, given him red hair, some of Ron's old clothes. He grunts, he groans, he moans convincingly through the floorboards. It's all part of the plan. If Death Eaters come looking, if they think Ron's at home, sick with spattergroit, they'll look no further. It's absurd, brilliant, horrifying, perfect. The kind of plan only the Weasleys could create. And for the first time in days, they laugh, a real laugh, that full-bodied kind that rolls through the belly and makes the heart feel light again. It feels good, necessary, a reminder that joy still lives, even here. And so the preparations continue. Hermione shows them her beaded bag, enchanted with undetectable extension charms. Inside, more than one could ever imagine. Tents, clothes, books, everything they might need. Ron is amazed. Harry, too. She's thought of everything. She's ready. She even confesses to wiping her parents' memories, sending them to Australia, safe and unaware of their only daughter's name. Her voice does not shake when she tells them, but her eyes. Duwun Harry says nothing, but something within him stirs. These are the people he walks with, people who would give up everything, even family, even themselves, to do what's right, to end this war. They watch the news when they can. The Muggle news, Hermione insists, because even there the shadow spreads, people disappearing, strange weather patterns, names that echo too close to the magical world. It's happening everywhere. The darkness, and time is running short. The wedding is just days away. Bill and Fleur, a glimmer of celebration amidst storm clouds. The house bustles, people arrive, chairs appear in the garden, flowers twist themselves into arches, but even joy feels heavy, because Harry knows, Ron knows, Hermione knows. After this, after the music and the dancing and the laughter, they will be gone, and no one will know where. That night, Harry stands at his window again. The stars above him are soft and far away. He closes his eyes. He thinks of Dumbledore, of Moody, of Sirius, of the weight of all that's been lost to reach this place. He does not feel ready, but he will go anyway, and in the dark, in the warmth of the burrow, he whispers a thank you to the people who've loved him, sheltered him, laughed with him. The ones who turned a house into a home, even in wartime, even in fear. And below, in the attic, the ghoul thumps softly in his pajamas, a strange, gentle rhythm, almost like a heartbeat, almost like hope. Chapter 7. The Will of Albus Dumbledore. The morning after Bill and Fleur's wedding feels strange. The joy from the night before is still lingering in the air, a sweet hum of music, laughter, and fingertips brushing under lantern light. But beneath it, a different current flows, a current shaped by purpose, questions, and the ripples of a life now gone. Harry awakens early, before the sun has fully stirred the sky. He finds himself in a room by the kitchen, small, simple, with a window looking out over the garden. The grass is soft with dew, and roses cling to their stems as though reluctant to let go of dreams. On the bed beside him lies an envelope, cream-colored, with neat, familiar handwriting. It bears the seal of the Ministry of Magic. He recognizes it instantly from the presence or absence of Albus Dumbledore. All three friends gather at the kitchen table, solemn and curious. The envelope is opened. With gentle care, inside, a series of small ornate boxes with each of their names etched upon them. Hermione's is petite and wrapped in blue ribbon. Ron's is low, wide, and bound in red velvet. Harry's is sleek and dark, the seal shaped like the letter H. No note, only the boxes. Harry breathes in. He sets them on the table, side by side. They look like gifts, celebrations. But there is no joy in the moment, just gentle tension, because they know they are from Dumbledore. And his history was never simple. They begin with Hermione's. She unfastens the ribbon and opens the box. Inside, a beautifully intricate book titled The Tales of Beedle the Bard. A handwritten manuscript of fairy tales, wizarding stories filled with enchantment and warning and hope. Hermione touches it reverently, tears pricking the corners of her eyes. This belonged to Dumbledore's mother, she whispers, reading the dedication. He wanted me to have it. A hush follows, not just for the gift, but for what it represents. Magic in story, magic in heritage, magic in understanding that sometimes the smallest things carry the greatest power. Next is Ron's box. He lifts the lid to reveal a deluminator, a strange silver device with a button and a nameplate, Ronald Bilious Weasley. He turns it in his hand. Questions flicker in his eyes. Hermione explains, a device to take the light from lamps and return it. A tool to steal darkness, then give it back. Ron's brow furrows. It's poignant. It's precise. It fits him. Grief mixed with loyalty. Courage mixed with longing. A tool for coming and going. Light and loss entwined. Finally, Harry's. He picks up his box with a hand that trembles ever so slightly. Inside lies an elegant snitch, golden and glimmering, with the words, I open at the close engraved on its side. No other note, but the weight of it sits on him like a whisper. He imagines Dumbledore's voice, be careful with this. He wonders, does this mean the Hallows or something else entirely? They sit in silence, three friends, facing three gifts, three keys to what lies ahead, because these aren't just things. They are puzzles, clues, they are doors. Hermione turns the page of her book slowly, eyes bright. Ron fiddles with the deluminator, holding its power in his palm. Harry's fingers brush the snitch, its wings catching light for a moment before closing, and in that silence they feel it, the past, the present, and a future bound together. The rest of the day is soft with planning. Harry and Hermione go to see Arthur Weasley. Arthur, gentle and pragmatic, reads the handwriting on the boxes, a hand he recognizes, though the page has aged. You remember his ink, he says. The snapshot of Dumbledore's. Hermione smiles, a bittersweet acknowledgement. They ask Arthur about the items. He explains as much as he can. Deluminators are rare, books like the tales, rarer still, and snitches, symbols. But Dumbledore never wasted symbolism. They must pay attention. Later, Ginny presses her hand against Harry's arm, without words. Support, solidarity, sorrow, love. They will walk this path together, though she may not come all the way. She leaves quietly. At dinner, the Weasleys gather close, laughter hidden in the background, pain hovering just behind. Ron's mother gently reminds him not to lose the Deluminator. Fred and George tease him lightly, sweating under the weight of their own worry. Harry knows the Hallows were never meant to be brass-laden. They were meant to be lived. That night, Harry lies awake again, thinking about the words on the snitch. Open at the close. What does that mean? Is it about finality? Is it about death? He closes his eyes, images flickering. A snitch being released, a moment of flight, a moment of rest. He drifts into dreams. Sleep brings fragments, moments. Dumbledore's, kind eyes, the whisper of a voice. It's not the wand that matters. Places, Godric's Hollow, a graveyard. Harry wakes with the dawn. The world feels colder. The journey is no longer distant. It's beginning. And in the early light, the boxes wait. On the table, talismans, tokens, questions. 3 friends sit together once more. They share a quiet nod. It is time. Chapter 8. The Wedding. The morning at the burrow awakens like a sweet golden song. Sunlight spills through flowering vines, warming wooden beams and cottage stone. The aroma of fresh biscuits, honey, and autumn leaves drifts through open. Windows, today is special. Bill Weasley is marrying Fleur Delacour. A moment of joy before the world's edges grow dark. Conversations flutter through the house in soft hues of excitement. Did you hang the lanterns over the garden arch? Have you tried this raspberry jam with scones? Is Mr. Weasley? Sure the ministry allowed all these guests? Yet beneath the laughter, even the brightest eyes glimmer with unspoken tension. Questions twitch behind smiles. Questions like, how long before they can no longer gather like this? How many more last celebrations will follow? Harry wears his dress robes, dark but gentle. Hermione in deep green, steady and graceful. Ron struggles with a tie, under watchful, loving eyes. They step into the garden. Soft ivy arches overhead. Chairs arranged in neat rows, a path strewn with petals, rose and lily, pink and white. The guests arrive slowly. Weasley cousins, gleeful and bright, friends from Hogwarts. Members of the Order, quiet, respectful. In their eyes, Harry sees reflection. Pride, hope, fear. Dobby would have found the house smashing, but these guests are mortal, vulnerable, wounded, brave. Through it all, Fleur moves like a moonlit. Bloom, quiet and affable, delicate yet taut with emotion. Bill stands tall beside her, strong and calm, their hands linked like anchors in shifting tides. They exchange vows. Quiet words, personal promises. Bill looks at Fleur with pride she will always remember. Fleur smiles, soft and wholehearted, with a calm that hides tremors. A knot is tied. A kiss is shared. Soft applause rises, brief cheers. But the bells, full and clear, echo far in the sky like a distant song being answered in sorrow. After the ceremony, the reception begins. Tables strewn with food, roast meats, sweet breads, cheeses, teacups shimmer. Laughter brightens hedgerows. The trio mingles. Hermione dances with Mr. Weasley, her cheeks pink. Ron jokes with George and Fred, his grin returning slowly. Harry, quietly, finds Ginny at the edge of the gathering, her curls brushed to one side, wary but radiant. They touch fingertips. A warm exchange, no words needed. Behind him, laughter breaks out, sometimes at jokes, sometimes at memory. He thinks of Hogwarts halls, of dances, and still wonders when the next time will be. A hush falls as the speeches begin. Mr. and Mrs. Weasley speak, one with pride, one with teary joy. Percy absent but remembered, purity of family, perseverance, love. Fleur's speech, softly accented, declares she loves Bill not just for his name, but for the man he is now, while Bill expresses gratitude to his father and to his fiancée. And then, with a glance to the trio, thanks them quietly for helping him stand on this day. The applause is loud, warm, and slightly broken. Music opens. Guests pair off. The trio dances. Harry and Ginny slip into each other's arms, moving slowly. Eyes closed for a moment. A lullaby under moonlight fills their small circle. Around them, others dance. Fred twirls. Hermione's laughter rings. A few Order members stand aside, dancing in memories of their own. There are moments of tears, but they are faced with courage. A messenger arrives at the door. Mr. Weasley's hand trembles as he opens it. A note from the Ministry, delivered with an official crest. He reads, his shoulders sag. He nods, uncertain. Arthur sets the note aside for now, in his pocket. The moment passes, but its weight lingers like a cloud seen at the horizon. The evening continues. Fleur and Bill steal away. Ginny takes Harry's hand again. They stand beneath an ivy-covered arbor. Danger is coming, she whispers. He nods. But I'll remember this, he says. You'd better. She smiles and kisses him. Later, word circulates. Unspoken tension hanging overnight like morning mist. Rumors at the Ministry. More disappearances. The Eye of the Dark Lord. An enchanted symbol showing that his reign draws near, and so comes the ending of Chapter 8, not with lightning, but with candlelight. Harry returns inside. He feels for a moment like a normal 17-year-old, like a boy in love. But he is not just that boy, not anymore. He climbs to his room, listens to the party still singing below. He breathes the sweet night in through his window, and he knows that while love blooms, he may soon lose its bloom. Chapter 9. A Place to Hide. The morning after the wedding dawns soft and fragile. The air hums with the residue of music and laughter, lingering here and there among the flower-fragrant garden. But a veil of purpose settles gently across the burrow as everyone stirs awake, guarded, purposeful. Harry rises quietly in a small room near the front door. Through the window, a pale sunrise brushes the world with a new day's light, hope's pale promise veiled by cloud. He dresses swiftly, in rumpled robes. A quiet ritual now, cloak, wand, cloak again, because there is no turning back. In the kitchen, the trio gathers around again, this time with grim determination laid bare. Hermione spreads a map across the table, a careful sketch of trails, safe houses, campsites, routes. Ron leans close, pointing to a far-off location. Derbyshire, a remote, rural place where few would look. Hagrid adjusts a pile of packed tents. They'll need them. Small, sturdy, easy to cast a charm over. Mr. and Mrs. Weasley stand by. Silent, but supportive, Mrs. Weasley's eyes glisten. Yes, she says softly, hand stroking Harry's arm, then Ron's, then Hermione's. You have to go. They pause on the front porch, the trio with Hagrid in a patchwork of mended robes and heavy boots, by their side as protector for the first mile. The morning world is quiet, birds uncertainly calling, wind still. Ginny slips out behind them, carrying a satchel of supplies. I want to come, she says, soft determination in her voice. Harry's heart clenches. He wants to hold her close, but he holds back. It's safer this way, he says. There's no place for you in this. She nods, pain flickering in her eyes, but she does not move away. Mr. Weasley clears his throat. He steps forward. You know where to go, he says. I can't come. Ministry's watching. It's only you three. Go together. He hands Harry a battered owl post package. Secret charms inside. He presses a kiss to Harry's forehead. They do not hug. They do not cry. It is too quiet for that. Hagrid's voice low and gravelly. Well, let's be off then. He parts the trio from the burrow's porch, one step at a time. They slip down the path. The dew is cold on their robes and boots. Hagrid ferries them to a secluded field. Under his hand, wordless, protective, they apparate. There is a flash, a lurch of air, and they are gone. When the world settles again, they stand in a narrow, hedged lane. Dew and early mist swirl around them. They look at each other. Hagrid's hand drops away. He gives a barked sort of laugh, low and relieved. Well, this is it. Hermione pulls a drawn satchel to her chest. She nods, firm. Harry swallows. They step forward. The countryside unfolds, fields, distant cottages, empty roads. They walk silently. Pack heavy on their backs. Their clothes are layered. Robes, cloaks, thick socks. The map silent in Hermione's steady hands. It is their new world, a landscape of hiding places, unknown edges, margins away from sight. They stay the first day in a damp cottage near Market Town. Ron arranges a fire. Hermione checks warding charms over the door, muttering incantations like lullabies. Harry curls near the hearth. They speak in whispers. Harry schools them on Horcrux theory, snakes and blood, locket rumors, Dumbledore's clues. They piece together, memory and hope, softly, carefully. They take turns sleeping, 2 up, 1 down, each with wand in hand. When the second day dawns, they push north again, through farmland and forest. The countryside is forgiving. Open fields, haystacks, grazing sheep. They pause at dusk to eat bread and cheese under trees. Hermione reads aloud. From the tales of Beedle the Bard, the story of the 3 brothers. The first brother sought power, the second sought revenge, but the third learned to greet death as a friend. Harry listens. The words echo quietly. They remember Dumbledore's tone when he once explained the tale. They realize the Hallows may be more than story, more than 3 magical items, maybe lessons. Night. Again. They camp beneath branches, cooking stew in a cauldron, disinfecting wounds, mending clothes. They laugh, little flickers of nostalgia and relief. Ron's joke about Hermione's sock sorting. Harry's memory of Quidditch laughter. They fall asleep under blankets in shifting skies. Third day, Hermione notices they were followed. Footprints after dusk in soft mud. They move faster. Heartbeats quicken when they vanish into denser woods. Hermione wards again. Ron shakes in the branches. Harry holds firm. They sleep in a hollowed tree adjacent to a stream. Fourth day, they nearly stumble into a highwayman's camp. Looters pretending to be refugees. They flee by night, cloaked under invisibility and broomstick speed. The danger feels real now. Not shadow, not rumor. This is survival. They pause in a small hall, checking Hogwarts lamp news. They hear whispers on Muggle radio. Strange weather, authoritarian edges, people disappearing. The war grows beyond magic. 5th day, April begins. They near the Pennine Hills. Snow in April, and more shadows in the land. Magic strained in the wind. Harry's break morning. He wanders outside to the hilltop. He stares across silent fields. He speaks aloud. If this works, if we destroy those Horcruxes, then maybe we can go home again. No answer. Nothing moving. Only sky. Evening. They set up a small rude camp in a cave on the hill. A table of supplies, a cauldron, writings, chains of hope and fear. They rest again. Today, Hermione reads the story again. All of them quiet and attentive. When she finishes, she closes the book. Harry cradles the snitch. It gleams in his hand, and for a moment, they remember something larger than fear, something larger than duty. They feel a connection deeper than battle, deeper than escape. a ribbon of magic that binds them together. They fall asleep, worn to bones but living, the wind of tomorrow edging. Near the battle's first movements have begun, but they have become the quiet heart of resistance. Chapter 10, Kreacher's Tale. The silence at the cottage has settled deep into the walls. Outside, winds sigh as dusk slips in. Inside, there's a quiet understanding, as if the world has paused to listen. In the corner sits Kreacher, the Black family's house elf, dusty uniform, crooked posture. His eyes are red-rimmed, throat tight with years of loyalty, resentment, and grief. At first, the trio just lets him be. Kreacher is strange, fierce, and unsettling. He shuffles about, sighing, muttering curses. His voice is low, worn, like footsteps carried on old floors. But Hermione, always curious, follows him silently one evening, her steps soft as candlelight. Kreacher halts before a large, empty cupboard. He places a small, worn box inside, locks it, then his shoulders shake. Quietly, almost unwillingly, he weeps. Hermione watches until Kreacher notices and stiffens. He growls, retreats into shadow. Later that night, after the candle is low and the others sleep, Hermione calls Harry and Ron quietly. They sit by the hearth, eyes gentle in the firelight. "Let's hear him," she whispers. Harry nods, pulling Kreacher gently from his sleep. Kreacher shuffles forward, gaze wary. The room is silent, save for the crackling fire and night wind outside. Hermione speaks softly. "Please, tell us your story." Kreacher hesitates. He mutters first, sneers. At them, but then begins to speak. His voice is rough, timid, brimming with memories. He tells them of his past at Grimmauld Place, how Regulus Black blessed him, trained him, fed him harsh orders. How Regulus caught wind of Voldemort's locket Horcrux, how he devised a plan. Regulus, not Voldemort. Kreacher's master, compassionate and brave, had told Kreacher to help him retrieve the locket. They had gone together to a cave. Voldemort's protections were cruel, but Regulus followed. He drank the potion. He commanded Kreacher to take the locket from the basin and destroy it. But Regulus did not return. He commanded Kreacher not to follow, just to bring the locket back. Kreacher did. But he was afraid. He hid the locket under the cupboard. He hid it for years. He never told, until now. Harry listens, heart hammering softly. The locket, the missing Horcrux, the piece of Voldemort's soul, hidden all this time. A revelation, carried in the tears of a house elf. Kreacher's next words tremble with a strange pride. He speaks of how eventually he earned back Hogwarts' respect. How taking care of Harry Potter became a purpose. Even through his strange bitterness, his loyalty is no longer blind. It has depth. He leans forward, voice cracking. "Please, Master, let me help." Hermione places a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Need you?" she says. Ron nods. Kreacher's gaze shifts, pride tangled with sorrow. The next morning, the trio sets to work. Hermione moves the cupboard box. It creaks open to reveal the locket, dark, smooth, humming with malice. Harry holds it briefly, cold. The weight of doom settled in metal form. They wrap it carefully, under cloak. Kreacher hovers, his face still. But there is something resolute there. Plans shift. Now their search isn't only for vague clues. They know the nature of one Horcrux, and the means to destroy it may yet be found. Their resolve deepens, unspoken through whispered plans. And, somewhere between grief and relief, they remember to hope, once more. Kreacher no longer lurks in shadows. He becomes part of the traveling household, quiet, purposeful, his loyalty restored, his purpose clear. They leave the cottage, steps, lightened by a promise finally honored. Chapter 11, The Bribe. The trio and Kreacher travel in silence. Their path takes them back to safe places they once knew, now worn, changed, watched. They pause at a crossroads one morning, the mist lifting slowly around them. Hermione spreads the map again, pointing to a location where they might find supplies or information. It's a small, nondescript village not far from London. A neutral place, they hope, but magic is fraying everywhere. They arrive late in the day. The village is quiet. Shutters drawn. Street lamps dim. The few people they see glance at them briefly, concerned, curious. They find a modest inn, the Gorse and Thistle, an old building with wood beams and stone walls. Rooms above, a tap room below. It smells of ale, damp wood, and candle smoke. They enter. The tap room is half empty. At a corner table sits a man in a cloak, reading by lantern light. His face is burrowed in shadow. Harry and the others sit quietly. They order tea and ask about rumors, any signs of Death Eater presence. The landlord, round, mild, shrugs. Nothing for witches and wizards here, he says, but strange things. People moving about, financed by unseen hands. Then, discreetly, a second man appears. He does not sit. He glances around. He approaches. He's plain-faced, nervous. He signals for them to follow, to the even quieter back room. Once closed door, he speaks, softly. I have something, he says. Information. A bribe. Harry meets his eyes, wrinkled with worry. He continues. Death Eaters are scouting, ministry, faltering. The pureblood circle's meeting this evening in London. The man lays out a rolled parchment across the table. A list of names, key people, safe passages. He pauses. His voice falls. For money. I can give you this. Hermione leans forward. Why? She asks. Who are you? He flushes. My brother. Taken. Because someone talked. He taps the parchment. My brother walked away from purity. He was caught. Either feed names or he'll be next. Harry's chest tightens. A moral crossroad. Accept information secured by another's anguish. Or let them struggle. They discuss quietly. Ron steps out to the tap room. He notices a hooded figure in a booth, watching them. He returns. Silence drips between them. They know the risk. Decision. Ron returns to the innkeeper, offers payment, not gold, but something rarer, the Deluminator. The man's eyes widen. He leaves the room. Moments later, the landlord returns, hands trembling. The parchment. It's real. It's heavy with names. They leave as night thickens, stepping into narrow streets. Hermione glances back, the inn empty. Not a soul in sight. They know someone saw them leave. Will the man be safe? They do not look back. Harry tucks the parchment among their maps. They step softly to escape the village, vanish down narrow lanes. Survival here is layered now. Facts, fear, forgiveness. They walk on. Chapter 12. Magic is might. The city air tastes cold as they near London, its tall chimneys and distant lamplit streets beneath a sky that seems to sag with worry. Because the Ministry of Magic has fallen, steeped in fear and dominance, a place of policy and propaganda, where the sign above the grand stone steps now reads, ironically and ominously, magic is might. They approach at twilight, cloaked and watchful. Hermione grips her wand under her cloak. Ron's heart thumps in his chest. Harry's jaw is set firm. Inside, the lobby stretches wide and grand. Tall pillars, echoing marble. Posters line the walls, with slogans praising power and purity, heralded in silent tyranny. A desk stands empty, papers strewn. A receptionist pushes a pile of ministry IDs, stamped. False identities for Muggle-Borns, recorded, labeled, controlled. Hermione exchanges a look with Harry. They have a mission here, to find clues to retrieve a Horcrux memory from Umbridge's past. They're here to infiltrate, to search, to leave again. They weave through corridors, past offices turned command centers. A Death Eater in ornate robes mans a desk. Propaganda posters proclaim purity, order. If they're caught, they know what happens. They slip into the Bribe's lead, a scrap of address to lead them to the Muggle-Born Registration Commission, where files may hold a Horcrux clue. Their hearts are steady, but the hush around them presses like fog. Every footstep echoes. Every whisper could summon danger. They reach a tall, iron feature corridor. Sign reads, Muggle-Born Registration. Commission. No one questions them as they slide inside, thanks to Hermione's stolen ID. Inside, desks line the room. Stacked files, dust motes. Umbridge sits behind glass, her polished pen snapping sharply, calling children filthy mudbloods. She leans forward, lashes lifted, gleaming with practiced cruelty. Harry's jaw clenches. They glance at each other. A plan unfolds. Hermione casts a quiet confundus, not loud, subtle, a distraction. Harry heads for the filing cabinets. Ron covers the door. They pull files. Hermione whispers the name they found. A connection to a memory, something echoed in Dumbledore's hints. They slip a memory vial through a cracked partition. Just as they finish, alarm bells jangle. The glass partition cracks with a curse. Umbridge's voice shrieks. Guards flood in. Harry lunges for the vial, and then a crackle of magic. The portrait of a flaming Fire Patch Cat in the door bursts to life. One by one, portraits open. They burst through. They run. Corridors twist. Spirits guiding, and at the exit, they apparate or simply vanish into the night. Outside, they huddle, memory in hand, but hearts pounding. They are bleeding from the inside now, brushed by danger, unbroken yet scarred. They escape under the colorless moon, still huddled close. Kreacher waits, silent but proud. They press on. They learn that power can look clean, but be rotten at its core. That control is not order. That purity is not strength. They walk, silent, between the stones of the city and the forest of the wild. They carry memory, responsibility, and purpose. Chapter 13. The Muggle-Born Registration Commission. The dawn sky is thin and pale above the Ministry's stone arches. Behind its walls, fear has taken root, insidious as creeping ivy. The grand atrium carries a note of uneasy calm. Suits of armor stand silent beside banners proclaiming purity in steel and script. The air smells of disinfectant and magic mixed with anxiety. Harry, Hermione, Ron, and Kreacher slip through as quiet as the shadows they've become. Their stolen IDs burn small circles of warmth in their pockets. Through halls that once hummed, with license and enchantment they move, careful, silent. Though magic still tinkles in the air, it hums now with tension. Every statue's gaze might conceal a curse. Every shadow, a watcher. They follow a crooked corridor to the commission's door. "Curse the Ministry," Ron breathes, low and quiet. "The entire place gives me the creeps." Hermione lays a steadying hand on his arm. "It's just us," she whispers, "and the mission." The commission room is pale and oppressive. Glass cubicles, rows of desks, endless files. Across the glass wall, Umbridge's pink suit bristles like thorns among petals. Her pen scratches rhythms of cruelty against qualifying names. Harry's heart pounds. He clutches his wand beneath his cloak. Hermione pinches him gently, reminding him, "Breathe." They slip into the corridor's gloom. Hermione glides past the glass to side door, out of sight. Ron watches the hall. Harry approaches the filing cabinets, eyes locked on a small scrap of familiar handwriting. Inside, he finds a memory vial, amber liquid swirling with unrevealed truth. He pockets it. Then, alarm. The light glows red. The glass barrier fractures. Umbridge shrieks. The room floods, with Death Eater steps and metal-clad guards. But in their flash of fear, magic answers. portraits spring to life. Migrating from walls of history, they burst, guiding Harry, Hermione, and Ron out onto safety. They flee through quiet, echoing halls. They slip into corridors hidden from sight until they're free. Outside, the ministry doors open onto an altogether different world, pavement and sky. They gather on Westminster Bridge, breathing the night breeze. Kreacher stands silent, his loyalty glowing among them. Together, they slip northward, across river and through narrow streets. The Sion, memory tucked close, their mission renewed. Chapter 14, The Thief. Night has fallen in the heart of London. Streetlights spill golden puddles on cobblestones. The air is cool, but carried on, it is still the taste of alarm. Memories stolen, danger close. Harry, Hermione, Ron, and Kreacher move through anonymous alleys. They're no longer in the ministry's grasp, but the ache of escape lingers in their chests like a faint pulse. They find refuge in a cramped room above a Muggle shop, sparsely furnished, windows shuttered, breathing space earned quietly. Here, amidst silence and the creak of the floorboard, exhaustion settles in their bones, but relief is only a fragile thing. Hermione unpacks their haul. Maps, notes, the memory vial. Thoughts of Umbridge's prickled face flashing in her mind. Harry unwraps the golden snitch. Its wings glinted even in the lamplight. He holds it still, remembering Dumbledore's words and his own doubts. He places it on the small table beside the vial, beside the deluminator and fairy tale pages. The night stretches. No one moves much. Ron wanders to the window and stares out. Hermione tests charms over the door and windowsill. Harry closes his eyes and tries to piece the memory into place. And then, quiet footsteps below. They freeze. The door handle twists, gently. A thief stepping in, but not with malice. A woman, unknown, gentle-eyed, startled to find them. She looks at them, fear flickering in her eyes. They look at her. They see hope and suspicion. She speaks softly. You're the children from the papers, the ones who escaped the ministry? Harry nods. Her name is Edith Finch. She grabs his hand, pressing a scrap of cloth to him. A mark, a symbol, they both recognize. A protective charm woven by Muggle hands. She placed it under her floorboards. Why? Because she knows. Because she had whispered to herself in the dark, protect them. They breathe. Hope seeps in. Over mugs of tea, they learn each other's fears. She's a witch, quiet, resigned, fearful, bristling with vulnerability. But proud, determined. She offers a trade. Safety for the locket memory. A pact between strangers bound by compassion. Heavy with decision, the trio retreats to the back room. They debate quietly. Ethics and survival. They decide, yes, they'll exchange. At midnight, under an unsteady moon, they meet in the small room again. Edith stands at the door. They place the memory vial in her hands. She presses a protective ward on top. Harry kneels and recites a promise to return the favor when she needs it most. She nods, tears shining. She leaves. They lock the door gently behind her. The room feels smaller yet warmer. They lie down, the snitch between Harry's fingers. Together once more. Morning. They wake to the dawn, slowly burning away shadows. Though they've lost something, the memory, they've gained something richer, a fragile alliance, a reminder that even small kindnesses ripple outward. They pack again. They step into the gray dawn with slow bravery. The sky is pale, but hope lingers, like dew on grass. Chapter 15, The Goblin's Revenge. The morning sun filters through the leaves above them, casting soft speckles of warmth on the trio as they tread carefully toward Diagon Alley's heart. Yet now, under new skies, their boots tread over. Familiar cobblestone, but the air hums with caution. For the ministry's influence has reached here too, and the banks stand wary, grim-faced. At the entrance to Gringotts, they pause, looking upon the towering doors framed in carved dragons. Once a place of comfort, now felt like a fortress guarding secrets both old and terrible. They enter. Inside, the grand hall feels hollowed, echoing with hushed payments and quiet deals. Goblin tellers watch them, but their eyes reveal outrage, more than fear. Harry, Hermione, Ron, and Kreacher pass through. They have come for Gornock, the goblin who helped break them out before, to seek information about the vaults and a possible Horcrux connection. They descend to a quieter courtyard, where Gornock sits, scarred, hand missing, rage pulsing beneath his calm exterior. He doesn't speak at first. Lowering his voice, he calls out threats, quiet curses echoing in the dark corners of the bank. They've stolen our heritage, our records, our freedoms. Harry steps forward. He speaks gently, remorseful for past actions. He doesn't ask for forgiveness, only for help. Gornock's gaze flares. Rage meets sorrow. Finally, he sighs. He leads them deeper, past charmed barriers and patrols, into a hidden wing beneath the bank. The vaults hum with old magic, deep underground, lit by lanterns with iron filigree. Gornock brings them to a vault not listed in any public ledger, secret, unmarked. He opens it. Inside lie artifacts, ornate, beautiful, sinister. One piece catches Harry's eye, a small ancient cup, silver, engraved with griffins and runes faint with dark magic. A Horcrux? Gornock watches him. The cup of Helga Hufflepuff, he says softly. Whoever holds the cup holds power. Voldemort coveted it. Harry's breath stills. The weight of it hums in his palm when he touches it, cold, heavy, waiting. They retrieve the cup, wrapping it carefully. Gornock pauses. He turns to Kreacher, stern gaze softening. You have honored your master's memory, he says. We will not let these items be used for darkness again. In that moment, a fragile coalition forms. House elf and goblin, wizard and witch, united not by race or fear, but by purpose. They leave the vault, the sunless corridors heavy. Behind them, outside, dawn breaks in muted gold. They step back into the world, carrying the cup, and hope, at last, catches flame. Chapter 16. Godric's Hollow. The road dips and winds, narrowing into a path flanked by overgrown hedges. Autumn's breath tingles in the air, leaves drifting like dreams, and the world feels hushed, as though holding its memories in its arms. They approach Godric's Hollow, the village where Harry was born, where homes stand close together, doors unopened, lanterns dim, and time seems to linger in each stone wall and crooked roof. The churchyard, they step into the graveyard, behind the old church. Sunlight filters through skeletal branches overhead. The gravestones lean in gentle solidarity. Harry's boots crunch on mossy earth as he finds the stone that bears his parents' names, Lily and James Potter. His breath catches, and he kneels, placing a hand on the cool stone. Emotions come in waves, tender longing, sorrow, a quiet ache that feels at once overwhelming and essential. He sits a while, tracing the engraving. Names and dates, so small, so human. The house where it began. They move toward the ruined cottage across the road, the place where his life began and was almost taken again. The windows are broken. The door hangs from its hinges, and ivy crawls over faded paint. Inside, the emptiness is sacrosanct, echoing with grief and courage and love passed through time. Hermione lights a charm to brighten the shadows. The room glimmers dimly, revealing faded photographs, a broken cane, and only memories. They remain silent, no words needed, standing not as lost children, but as pilgrims to a life that began with sacrifice and hope. Revelations by the road by. The cottage. Hermione produces the tales of Beedle the Bard, opening to the story of the three brothers. They read quietly, the words resonating deeper here, where legend and history entwine. Harry's gaze drifts to the dried petals in a jar on the windowsill, to a child's shoe tacked by parent hands, simple tokens of a life long gone. He thinks of Dumbledore's voice, the whispers about Deathly Hallows, and the fragile threshold, where life greets loss. A shared breath guinea joins them here, having followed at a careful distance. She kneels by Harry and Hermione. Ron places a hand on Harry's shoulder. Solid, steady, together they stand, a quartet bound by tragedy, love, hope. No speeches, no grand gestures, just silence, just presence. A gift of closure. Before they leave, Harry kneels once more. He presses, his forehead to the stone, offering a silent prayer of thanks and sorrow. He stands and whispers, "Thank you for giving me a beginning. I'll make it worth this life." He pulls a small charm from his pocket, a simple token crafted by Hermione, and leaves it at the foot of the headstone. She watches him, her eyes soft with pride and grief. Walking back, they leave Godric's, hollow under pale skies. The cottage behind them is crumbling, but beautiful in its quiet ruin. On the road, the air feels lighter, grief shared, purpose renewed. Hermione gathers her friends. She folds the fairy tale book into her cloak. Ron carries the cup of Helga Hufflepuff with care. Harry tucks his snitch safely inside his robe, a lullaby for the heart in the silence between them. No one speaks. No one needs to. The weight has been shared. They walk on toward uncertain dawn, together. For every step ahead, they carry the soft power of remembrance. Chapter 17. Bathilda's Secret. The village of Godric's Hollow lies silent under a mist-laced evening. Lanterns cast halos on damp paths. The air hangs heavy with the scent of smoke and time. Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Ginny follow Bathilda. Bagshot's instructions, seeking the historian's old home, a place of dark promise hidden beneath gentle name. At the door, the house sits crooked, stones mottled with moss. Windows are shuttered. The front door hangs slightly ajar, an invitation and a warning. Harry pushes it open with care. A stair creaks. Dust motes swirl like tiny drifting wisps. They step inside, the empty hall of foyer, empty but for a pale chaise and gilded frames. Portraits of ancestors hang askew. Nothing moves, only quiet. They climb the stairs, each step measured, each breath deliberate. At the top, they find a dusty room, once lived in, with a small desk and chair. Bathilda's absence is weighty, an invisible presence filling the space. The study, the parchments are scattered. Her quills lie abandoned. A teacup sits half-finished. Hermione's voice breaks the hush. Magic has been here. Harry opens a journal, a scratch of handwriting, a note of arrival. He looks at Ginny and Ron. Something tightens in his chest. Bathilda appears, a slight rustle from the corridor. A figure stands in the doorway. Bathilda, elderly, bent in posture, skin pale as parchment, eyes glittering in starlight filtering through cracked glass. "Harry, dear," she whispers, voice feather-light. She beckons him forward. Harry steps softly, tachycardia humming low. Ginny's hand touches his arm. Ron's wand clicks in place. In the parlor, Bathilda guides Harry into the room. Rocking chair, portrait of Dumbledore's family long gone. She smiles, but the candlelight reveals cracks. Her hand, once wizened, twitches unnaturally. She says his name too often, too warmly. Harry shrinks inward, remembering Nagini's rumble. He glances at Hermione. A sign is shared. Readiness. The truth revealed, Bathilda's face twitches like old leather, and then it splits. Her body falls away, revealing the real inhabitant. Nagini, long and slick, mouth rippling with human speech. A voice that echoes, dark echoes against stone. She was a vessel, Nagini hisses. Bathilda was the container. The room tilts. Harry raises his wand. Ginny steps forward, spell ready. Nagini lunges, faint flickers of memory shimmering. Bathilda's hand. Bathilda's voice, then vicious strike. Shadow in the Rumadul sparkles in the chamber. Nagini slithers. Hermione curses gently. Ron fires, hesitant but true. Harry shouts for them away. He leaps forward, protected by blood and loyalty, snatches Bathilda's journal from the desk. As he turns, Hermione's spell shatters the old glass pane, and the room floods with cold, night air. Nagini retreats, hissing. Outside in the mist, they burst into the yard, cold air rushing, lantern light quivering, breath labored, hearts pounding. They regroup, Ginny supporting Harry, Hermione clutching the journal, Ron keeping guard with wand drawn. No one speaks at first, but memory hums between them. Bathilda is gone. Only echoes remain, refuge and reflection. They slip away down the narrow lane. Mist snakes at their heels. They find a safe refuge, a small outbuilding warmed by remnants of candlelight. They collapse inside, bodies trembling. Harry holds Bathilda's journal in his hands. They read, each torn page, in the hush of mistake and truth, glean fragments of her history with Dumbledore. Cautious understanding blooms, knowledge of Dumbledore's loss, the sacrifices he made, and their cost. Shared warmth, they wrap quilts around shaky bodies. Ginny draws Harry into a tremulous cuddle. Warmth, comfort, human tether. Hermione and Ron huddle close, quiet tears pressed behind referential nods. They are haunted, but not broken. A promise of caution. Harry stands and extinguishes the candle. He kneels to Ginny, softly promises, "We'll go forward. We'll be safe." She nods, tear-streaked, faith flickering, quiet but fierce. They settle to rest, eyes heavy, hearts hopeful, but vigilance wary, for the world is taller in the Cottage. Dark. Chapter 18. The Life and Lies of Albus Dumbledore. The room is cloaked in pre-dawn stillness. Shadows linger in corners. Bathilda's journal lies open, pages flicked through again and again. Its words feel like quiet tremors, rumors, confessions, secrets spilled on paper. Unpacking the journal, Harry, Hermione, Ron, and Ginny sit in a small, safe cottage. The journal rests on the table, testament to hidden pains and sudden revelations. Inside, Bathilda recounts Dumbledore's childhood in Godric's Hollow, how he first met Aberforth, how he fell for a girl named Ariana, how this love and ambition intertwined with mistakes and tragedy. Harry reads aloud. A magic born, of love and pride, a power tempered by fear. Tears begin to form in Hermione's eyes. Ginny presses a hand to Harry's arm, a picture of a young Dumbledore. Their vision drifts to Dumbledore as a bright, eager boy, eyes wide, thirsting for power, drawn to dreams of changing the world. Then heartbreak, Ariana's accident, the tragedy that fractured the family. Bathilda's words tell of regret, blame, a love too heavy for a young soul. Harry feels the weight, Dumbledore's idealism, his hidden guilt, his cautious silence. These aren't simply memories. They're lessons, conversation in soft tones. They talk deeply. Hermione wonders, would knowing this have changed Harry's trust? Harry replies, no, but I needed to understand. Ron murmurs, no man's whole, not even the greatest. They realize Dumbledore was not faultless, but his love guided him, even when he stumbled, forging a clearer path. The journal's tone shifts. It speaks of trust, of mistakes, of redemption, Ariana's death, Aberforth's blame, but also Albus's choice to bury regret into purpose. Harry absorbs this. He straightens. He does not fear Dumbledore's flaws anymore. He feels ready. Night's quiet conclusion, they extinguish the candle. Harry climbs into bed. Hermione brushes away tear tracks, lying beside Ron. Ginny cuddles into Harry's side. The darkness holds them, soft and unafraid, because sometimes truth, even hard truth, opens the way forward. Chapter 19, The Silver Doe. The night is nearly silent. A pale moon drifts behind thin clouds as Harry walks beneath bare branches. His footsteps are light, and his mind is heavy. They have found and hidden a Horcrux, Helga Hufflepuff's cup, safe for now. They've learned about Dumbledore's human faults, but the path ahead still feels fractured, missing light, missing direction. So Harry steps away from camp. He cannot sleep. He paces, pulling his cloak tight. A creature appears he follows, nothing but instinct. Some still small voice guiding him deeper into the woods. Then, quietly, a silver deer appears between the trees. It stands, calm, otherworldly. Moonlight flickers on its coat, making it gleam softly. Its eyes are gentle, welcoming. Harry feels recognition. He follows, a trail of hope. The doe leads him, step by silent step, through winding paths. Harry's heart pounds, not with fear, but with something like longing. This is the doe that saved his father in long-ago memories. The doe Patronus, a mirror shimmering in moonlight. It leads on. Across the river, they reach a river's edge. Moonlight shimmers on water's surface. The doe steps forward, not into the water, but pauses. Looks back at Harry, a soft beckoning gesture. He steps in. The water is cold, biting. He exhales. It steams in mist. The doe stands on the bank, calm and strong. At the pool's edge in the far side, the doe pauses near a narrow pool. Its muzzle dips in, silver ripples spreading outward. It waits. Harry feels the ache of years of waiting for permission, for guidance, for grace. He kneels at the pool. His reflection shimmers, eyes shadowed. He whispers, "Why are you here?" No answer but silence. A glimmer at the bottom, the doe stirs. Surfaces drift, and below the water, something glints gold. Harry reaches in. His fingers graze cold metal. He pulls the golden snitch, its wings broken, tarnished, but intact. A hush like a blessing settles. He stares at it. The inscription shimmers. I open at the close. Soft revelation. Harry understands with a quiet certainty that this was Dumbledore's plan, a way to guide him through pain, through darkness, with something only visible at the end. He holds the snitch with gentle reverence. Tears trace down his face. The doe looks on, eyes clear. Then it steps away, turns, and vanishes into the night mist. Returned to camp, Harry walks back, snitch pressed to his chest. The dawn approaches, a promise. He steps into the circle of sleeping friends. He shows them the snitch. A quiet hope fills the air. They sit, watching sunrise stain the sky pale gold. Shared renewal they plan in hush. They'll follow this new clue. They'll gather strength, together. Harry slips the snitch into his pouch. Chapter 20, Xenophilius Lovegood. The countryside is cloaked in mist as they travel toward a crooked little house under leaning beams, Xenophilius Lovegood's. Rumors say he's odd, eccentric, a believer in things others hesitate to name. Aloud, the Deathly Hallows, Thestrals, symbol mysticism. Their arrival is quiet, respectful, footprints in dew-soft grass. The house Xenophilius' home is as whimsical as the man himself. Mismatched tiles, posters of the symbol for the Deathly Hallows pinned to walls, wind chimes tinkling with circulation magic, and odd trinkets that catch the eye. Inside, dust and curiosity blend. Elizabethan portraits share space with posters urging acceptance of odd beliefs, of forgotten truths. The family Xenophilius greets them, thin, pale, with gentle eyes. his greeting punctuated by a shawl and half-matched socks. Beside him sits Luna Lovegood, ethereal and dreamlike, hair drifting around her like moon-woven threads, her gaze perceptive and patient. Her eyes fall softly on Harry. She smiles with quiet warmth. Deathly Hallows. Introduced, Xenophilius leans forward, almost conspiratorial, to show them the symbol. A circle within a triangle bisected by a line. "This," he says in hushed excitement, "is the Deathly Hallows." Hermione gasps softly. Harry's heart quickens. Xenophilius tells them the story of the three brothers, the Elder Wand, an unbeatable wand ruled by ambition. The Resurrection Stone, a stone to call back what was lost. The Cloak of Invisibility, to move unseen, beyond time and sight. They listen, breathless. He presses a tattered copy of the Tales of Beetle the Bard into their hands. His own annotated version. Messy, heartfelt. A warning to Xenophilius grows serious. They won't believe it. Your friends, the ministry, the public. But the Hallows are real. And someone famous, has the wand now. Harry feels both awe and dread. That doesn't make it easier, Luna says softly. No, Xenophilius nods. But you must think for yourselves. Trouble arrives, night falls. They discuss quietly. Should they go public? Share the Hallows? Before a plan is formed, a shrill knock breaks. The stillness. Hooded figures swarm the house. Parents of Luna, friends of Xenophilius. Come to arrest him. The ministry, now the arm of Voldemort, has come. Escape under moonlight chaos floods the small cottage. Xenophilius pleads, trembling. Harry, Hermione, Ron, Luna, and Kreacher slip through hidden passages burrowed into the floor. They emerge in fields, chased by wands and curses, shadows stretching like fingers. Under moonlight, they run. Dawn, after flight. They collapse in a hollow at first light. Luna is silent. Xenophilius broken but gone, lost to them now. He gave them truths, then took them away from hope, from a community willing to shield. But hope remains. Quiet resolve. Hermione holds the annotated beetle. Ron grips the cloak. Harry still holds the snitch. They watch dawn's edge pale in the sky. They know they walk a path lined with loss, but also lit by strange, flickering light. The Deathly Hallows. Chapter 21. The Tale of the Three Brothers. In the hazy dawn after their flight, the trio and Luna gather around a small fire in a secluded clearing. The air is still. Only the faint rustle of autumn leaves surrounds them. It's here that Hermione, cradling the annotated Beetle manuscript, reads aloud the third story, The Tale of the Three Brothers. The three brothers, long ago, three brothers travel along a hidden road. They encounter Death, who feels cheated and appears before them. He offers each a gift to match his wish. First brother clad in arrogance, he asks for a wand, the most terrible in existence. Death crafts the Elder Wand from an elder tree's branch, powerful, unbeaten. Second brother. Full of passion and sorrow, he asks for a stone that can recall the dead. He receives the Resurrection Stone, smooth, ancient. Third. Brother Humble, wary of Death, he asks for something that lets him go on his way without being followed. Death gifts him the Cloak of Invisibility. Echoes of the tale. Hermione's voice wavers at the end, the hush around them deep. They glimpse their lives in the story. A wand rumored to hold ultimate power. A stone that whispers with ghosts. And a cloak that has guided Harry since childhood. Harry holds his snitch. I open at the close, and feels the tale folding into his own. Soft reflections. They speak quietly. Hermione, tracing her finger on a page. 3 gifts, but also lessons. Ron softly. Those who chased power fell. Those who hid lived fully. Luna, whispering, "Death is a friend to the wise." Harry closes the book. He breathes out, holding the snitch, the cloak hidden in his robes. A moment of stillness. They sit together in companionable silence, letting the story's warmth and weight sink in. The wind stirs leaves overhead like whispered sighs. He feels something shift inside, calm, resolve, the gentle authority of choice. The path ahead, as dawn light brushes the sky, Harry stands. He looks at his friends, his allies, forged in trials, love and sacrifice. He steps forward. Will they seek the cloak's true power? Will they claim the wand, the stone? Perhaps not yet. But now, in soft company and quiet knowledge, they are ready. Chapter 22. The Deathly Hallows. The forest feels different now. Underfoot, leaves rustle like hushed conversation. Branches interlace above, shifting silver light over the path. Harry walks between Ron and Hermione, the beetle manuscript in his pocket, the snitch in his hand. This is the calm before the next step. Discovery and doubt. They travel to a landmark mentioned in the fairy tale. An ancient grave, a windswept hill, the place where a cloaked figure once lay. Hermione checks the manuscript. Ron and Luna scout. The perimeter. Harry kneels in frost-soft grass. He pulls the snitch carefully. Nothing. Disappointment flickers. Then, a soft click. The wings unfold. A parchment unfurls. Not just any note, but a map, illuminated with unfamiliar runes and a golden glow. 3 paths revealed. Hermione's eyes widen. The map shows 3 symbols, a wand, a stone, and a ring-drawn triangle. It shows the Hallows, she whispers, where they might be. Ron glances at Harry. This could help. Arguments in the clearing. They argue about what to follow. The wand, the cloak, the stone. Each has promise. Each has peril. Ron, protective, grounded, urges focusing on Horcruxes first. Hermione, pragmatic, determined, agrees. Harry, listening, feels the promise in the Hallows, but the burden too. They stand again in the clearing, branches shifting overhead. They breathe and decide, one at a time. Step by step, a shared ritual, they sit in a circle. Hermione reads the tale again. Ron holds the snitch. Harry closes his eyes, speaking a vow. To the protection of life. To the light in darkness. To friendship unbreakable. They hold hands. A soft glow begins, not from wands but from hearts. The forest seems to exhale in response. The quiet beginning. When they rise, their path feels clearer. They step toward home, toward Hogwarts, toward Horcrux hunting, toward destiny's edges. But within them, something has changed. They carry a plan to find the Horcruxes, a new understanding of the Hallows, the memory of a quiet ritual born in unity. Magic, they realize, is not just found in wands, but in choices made by hearts that stand together. Chapter 23. Malfoy Manor. A carriage skitters over broken cobblestones. Metal glints in the moonlight. Hoods obscure faces. Chains rattle. 3 prisoners sit in the dim interior, their breaths shallow, their eyes haunted. Harry, Hermione, and Ron. They've been captured, dragged through corridors of fate. Now they sit, waiting. The arrival, they're brought into a vast stone prison beneath Malfoy Manor, dank, dripping, cold. Lucius comments quietly to Bellatrix, who smirks with delight. Chains bind their wrists. They sit apart, silent and still. Harry feels fear, sharp, but beneath it, an ember of calm. He breathes. He remembers purpose. Horcrux hunt. He remembers friends. Rescue may come. He remembers love. His strength. Interrogation Bellatrix circles them like a hawk. She taunts Harry, demanding knowledge of the Elder Wand. Harry says nothing. Ron spits curses. Hermione glares. Bellatrix flings a glance at Hermione's knockoff necklace of Klein bottles and smirks. Lucius shifts uncomfortably. The vault, they're tossed into a cage. Nearby stands Griphook, a goblin. His gaze passes over them, calculating. Bellatrix orders the big vault opened. Harry, glancing up, spots the Horcrux, a ring in a black chain. Momentarily, he feels its weight. Cold, fierce, hope, with teeth. Suddenly, chaos. Dobby, the house elf, appears. He vanishes chains, hunts down the cuffs, and whispers, "Harry Potter, escape!" Hermione weeps quietly. Harry's voice cracks as he says, "Dobby's here!" They run. Dobby leads them through corridors, past furious Death Eaters, through a narrow doorway. "Not for long," Dobby whispers. They apparate away. Free but fragile, they land in the dark. Kreacher appears, leading them away with quiet urgency. They listen, curses and shouts behind them. Harry holds the chain with the ring. But before he can think, Dobby collapses, struck by a knife thrown during their flight. He whispers, "Such a beautiful place to be free." And then, silences falls. The grief and the gift. Harry holds him. Hermione weeps. Ron stands apart, raw with loss. They bury Dobby on a small isle under the stars. No tombstone, only earth and quiet wind. Harry places a hand on the soil and says softly, "Thank you, friend." Moving forward, they leave in silence. Grief spurs resolve. Harry holds the ring chain, unsure if he should open it, but certain he must. He tucks it in his pocket and leads the trio onward, towards Horcrux hunts, towards mortality, towards final battles. Chapter 24, The Wandmaker. Silence. After storm-distant dawn, weary light filters through leafless branches as the trio and Kreacher slip through woodland paths, carrying heavy hearts and fragile resolve. They emerge near a small, crooked house of honey brown stone and wild roses, quietly nestled as if untouched by time. They approach. It is Ollivander's shop, the place where wands were first chosen for Harry, where destiny softly began. A gentle reunion. The door creaks. Inside, Ollivander stands in candlelit shadow. His eyes, pale as pearl, glimmer with grief, but warmth flickers too, rekindled on seeing them. "Harry," he murmurs, voice a tender wind through memory. "Mr. Ollivander," Harry responds softly. A long moment of reflection passes. Hermione and Ron stand respectfully aside. Kreacher bows low. Stories in wood and ivy. They settle around an old workbench ringed with jars and tools. Ollivander speaks. He tells of wands reforged, of woods bored and bound to human hearts, of the wand's loyalty to its master. Harry listens, grateful and still, needing some calm wisdom. Ollivander holds Harry's broken wand, the phoenix feather twin to Voldemort's, and explains how its magic fractured, yet its soul remains bonded to Harry's. He shows them a row of rare wands, each with history, scars, voices of their own. "A new path power," Ollivander says softly, "is not their art. They magnify what's inside." He glances at Harry's wand. "You may wish for another, but perhaps, first, understand this one." He guides Harry through repairing, not replacing, the broken wand with care and intention. Candlefire flickers. Night's chill recedes. Harry's wand feels fuller again, mended, but marked, proud, and unmasked. Memory and meaning, Ollivander shares intimate knowledge of the Elder Wand, the lore, the ownership, the curse upon its ambition. He warns of its danger, not demon, but a mirror of the wielder's heart. Harry listens. He clenches the wand, a pledge forming in silence. A ray from the past, in the glow of oil lamps, Ollivander offers Harry an old note, yellowed, looping in Dumbledore's handwriting. The wand chooses the wizard, and requires courage, not conquest. Harry absorbs it. Hope warms him, bidding farewell. Morning light finally edges in through dusty panes. Harry, Hermione, Ron, and Kreacher share a quiet farewell with Ollivander. He presses a small wooden box into Harry's hand. A phoenix quill, the token of mastery and humility. May it guide you, he whispers. Stepping into dawn, they depart into dew-soft fields. Harry holds the wand. Its warmth offers company. They walk on, determined, introspective, silently ready. Chapter 25, Shell Cottage. Arrival at the sea. A low, steady rhythm thrums in the air, the sea breathing just beyond the dunes. Salt and damp sand settle underfoot as they walk from the woodland edge. They ascend a small slope, and there, it stands, Shell Cottage, a small white house perched just above the shore, its walls dotted with shells, stones, and driftwood, a guardian of scattered tales and quiet refuge. Hermione and Ron look at each other and gently smile. The memory of laughter they thought had washed away returns, effervescent, comforting, far louder than the hush indoors. Harry stands by the doorway, the mended wand in his hand, watching the sea. Slow waves rolling like whispered promises he feels across his skin, inside the cottage. The front door opens onto a cozy room, pale wood beams overhead and sandy rugs beneath. A fire crackles in the hearth. A round table is laid with food, fish stew, warm bread, and mugs of tea. Bill and Fleur, Weasley greet them, careful, relieved, warm. Kind eyes meet Harry's. Fleur gives him a soft kiss on the cheek, gratitude and concern in her gaze. Arthur Weasley stands behind, a comforting pillar of quiet pride. They treat the trio like returning birds, careful, tender, glad at their return. Shared. Comfort evening drifts in like gentle tide. They sit around the table, meal passing slowly, stories shared in soft tones. Ron's missing ear isn't spoken of. No pity, only steady, unspoken care. Hermione sips tea and tucks her book into her lap. Harry watches the flames dance, like memories that sometimes flicker back, but can also fade into warmth. Bill leans in to whisper, "You're safe here. Powers that be won't reach us." Harry smiles, gratitude echoing behind his eyes. Moments. By the sea later, they walk outside, barefoot on the sand, the sea bleeding softly in waves. Harry picks up a shell, pink with stone flecks. He raises it to his ear, white noise, rhythmic, whole. He thinks of Dumbledore, he thinks of Sirius, he thinks of Dobby, and he rests in the moment, letting grief fold into memory, and memory into something sustaining. Small revelations back inside. Hermione shows them entries from Beetle the Bard, scribbles, drawings, discussion hums, the Deathly Hallows where they might go next, how to follow the map in their hearts. Ron sighs. Harry squeezes his friend's hand. They remember Luna's voice about the Hallows being real and the calm ritual in the woods. They realize they don't have to wield power. They only have to choose what matters. Quiet acts of care. As the fire dies, they prepare to sleep. Ginny curls into Harry's side. Hermione and Ron settle by the window. Outside, the sea spins in moonlight. Harry checks his wand by the lamp. Its warmth settles him. He feels the snitch tucked in his pocket, and the mended wand resting whole in his palm. Shell Cottage holds them in safety. Night's peace. They wearily climb to their rooms. Harry squeezes Ginny's hand once more. Sleep beckons, the candle gutters out, and in the hush, the house listens to their breathing. Shell Cottage holds vigil. Next mornings, dawn, they wake to the gentle sea light. Bird songs drift in through the curtains. Bill brings in warm fish and herb gruel. Laughter threads through breakfast, threads that feel both familiar and fragile. Arthur asks if they found anything new about the Horcruxes. Harry nods, quietly confident. The day begins bright. For the first time in days, they feel settled. Plans. In progress after breakfast, they gather over the Beetle manuscript, the map, the snitch, and Hermione's notes. They plan, return to Grimmauld Place for more research, venture to Hogwarts next, keep an eye out for the Elder Wand and Resurrection Stone. They mark potential sites on a faded map, centuries-old towers, hidden graves, rumored cloisters. It's still a daunting path, but they walk it together. An ocean blessing. Before they leave Shell Cottage, Bill takes Harry aside. He places a personal heirloom, a small seashell charm, around Harry's neck. "It's protection," he says softly. "From me, from the sea." Harry nods, touched. Fleur offers Hermione similar talismans. They wear them close to their hearts. Departure. They tread quietly across the sand, the weight of gifts warm against their chests. They pause at the wooden gate, for memories, for longing, for promise. The ocean holds out its song behind them. Shell. Cottage gently retreats into the haze, small and steadfast. Harry looks back and whispers a thank you to the walls, the sea, the warmth, and then they move forward. Chapter 26. Gringotts. Moonlit. Approach. Under a cloud-pale moon, they travel east, bound for the towering spires of Gringotts Wizarding Bank. The distance hums through winding roads and furtive conversations. Their path is one of restraint, no flashy spells or dramatic charm, just the quiet confidence that comes from shared purpose and steady hearts. Disguised entry. At the entrance, Xenophilius borrowed disillusionment charms cling to their robes, soft. Ripples of invisibility that make them mere whisper walkers. They slip past goblin guards, silent as shadows, into the grand marble foyer. Lanterns glow overhead. Silence is their ally. Gornuk's aid. A familiar goblin awaits. Gornuk, his hand still scarred but his expression resolute. He bows without fanfare. "No bells," he mutters, indicating shady side stairs leading down, bypassing the grand hall, avoiding attention. Vault of secrets. They descend deeper, the air growing older, heavier. At the lowest level, Gornuk stops at a hidden cubby. He presses his hand to the wall, runic symbols glow and a door opens. Inside stands the vault. White stone walls inlaid with a dragon emblem. The lock hums beneath Gornuk's deft touch. The Hufflepuff Cup. When the vault opens, there rests the cup of Helga Hufflepuff, ornate, rounded, deadly quiet. Harry reaches forward, gently cradles it, fingerprints brushing the runes. It feels impossibly heavy, laden with centuries of history. They pause in silence to honor the weight of their find. Cowardice in the dark. But as they turn to escape, the lock springs open elsewhere. A goblin guard emerges, eyes hard and metal wand drawn. The guard hesitates, not recognizing Dobby's tragic gifts, nor Harry's stolen status. Without spell, Harry steps forward, voice soft. "Take care. We're helping destroy what's harming all of us." The guard's wand lowers, just enough. His decision is the quiet turning of alliance turned from fear into understanding. Sudden alarm. But the peace breaks, with a shout. Death Eaters. Footsteps echo on the marble. Lanterns sputter. Shadows stretch long. Escape below. Gornuk seals. The vault. They sprint back through tunnels, feet echoing, fear simmering. Gornuk fires a silent lock-closing spell behind them. They pass goblin guards who take no notice, preoccupied by power's tremors, not intruders. Back to safety, fragile. They emerge under the moonlit lobby again, but the world feels off-kilter. Lantern light flickers. Steps and voices drift down stone corridors. They move faster, propelling themselves outside through side doors. Relief and regret. Outside in the cool night, they stop. Harry fingers the cup's rim. A piece of him. Gone from his grasp, Ron murmurs. Harry nods. One more down. They breathe, exhausted, alive, eyes bright with memory and quiet relief, shared resolution. They regroup far from Gringotts, where the night is open and the world vast above them. Harry cups the Hufflepuff cup, tucks it safely in Hermione's enchanted bag. The weight in his chest lightens, just enough. They walk, voices low. Next, Hogwarts. Where we'll finish it. Where it began, hope in shadow. They move away under starlight, 3 figures walking through night-washed streets bearing the weight of the past and the promise of its end. Would you like to continue to Chapter 27, The Final Hiding Place, next? Chapter 27, The Final Hiding Place. Arrival at Hogwarts grounds. Under a dusky sky, the trio and Kreacher stand just beyond the familiar iron gate of Hogwarts. Though darkened and changed, the castle's silhouette still rises like a silent promise. A home that once soothed them now calls to them again. The wind sighs, carrying whispers of ancient enchantments and hopes yet unmet. They slip inside with quiet steps, weaving through empty courtyards and long corridors. Each echo of their footsteps carries memory, mock exams, midnight feasts, laughter beneath the stars. Tonight, those memories guide them toward the heart of this place, a library whose secrets may yield the final clue to a Horcrux hidden close to home. A search in silence. They enter the library, its massive shelves lining vast walls. Moonlight filters through tall windows, painting silver stripes across wooden floors. The hush here is sacred, knowledge suspended in the still air, waiting. Hermione opens the Tales of Beedle the Bard, tracing faded runes in the margins, the clues Dumbledore left about a diadem. She breathes softly as realization dawns. The lost diadem of Ravenclaw might be hidden within these ancient walls. Ron finds a flight of secret stairways behind a dusty shelf. Each step creaks, a drumbeat in the quiet, unfolding pathways forgotten. They exchange glances of determination. In Ravenclaw Tower, they climb to the tower's upper rooms. Tapestries rustle gently as they pass. The stairwell lands them in a dim chamber full of cushions and desks flooded by moonlight. There, hidden in a narrow nook, lies a case, the lost diadem. Antique and ornate, its silver metal bears a lone, radiant star. It hums softly, almost like a heartbeat beneath Harry's fingertips. He lifts the diadem with reverence, as if the weight of wisdom itself rests in his hands. Hermione catches his gaze, relief and pride shimmering in the hush. Escape with grace. They retrace their path under moonlight, careful to stay hidden. Wands drift low, ready to silence any approaching footsteps. They reach a room they once shared, memories of youth overlapping with shadows of war. With a collective breath, they step outside. Beyond the castle grounds, the world feels vast again. Hope renewed. Harry cradles the diadem against him. He looks at Hermione and Ron, the home they have found in each other. "We're closer now," he whispers. They walk on into the night, the castle behind them, the future ahead, carrying hope, history, and a promise made in moonlight. Chapter 28, The Missing Mirror. Quiet reunion, night's hush has carried them far from Hogwarts. They stand outside a small, half-lived cottage belonging to Aberforth Dumbledore, Harry's uncle by blood, reclusive yet kind in a stern, gentle way. They come seeking refuge and renewed determination, entering the community. They slip inside, greeted by a warm, lantern-lit hearth and the soft clink of mismatched teacups. Aberforth stands off to the side, reserved, quiet, but offers water, blankets, and silent trust. He doesn't ask questions. He allows moments of calm after their frantic journey. Reflection of the heart. Harry drifts to a narrow mirror hanging on the wall. He touches its frame, smooth, dark wood. It's not the mirror of Erised. Its purpose seems different, more grounded. He gazes. At first, only his own reflection appears, tired but determined. Then, behind him, flickers of Ron and Hermione, sharing comforting silence, their faces easing with unspoken solidarity. Harry realizes the mirror reflects not wants but truths, and he sees that they are stronger together. Hidden conversation, Hermione approaches quietly, placing a hand on Harry's shoulder. She nods towards Aberforth, who has slipped into the corner of the room, listening. Harry gently pulls her aside. In whispered tones, he asks if she ever looked into the mirror of Arised again. She shakes her head. I saw you both, she admits, living, normal, more than ever. They share a soft smile. No more need for illusions, they have each other. Aberforth's offer later, Aberforth offers them more than hospitality. He offers access to the secret passage back into Hogwarts, hidden behind the Hog's Head wall. He points to a hidden door behind the bar. This will guide you in and out, safe and quiet. He says little, his kindness spoken in presence, not words. Harry thanks him softly. In that simple pledge, he finds peace. This journey holds not just war, but good people watching over him. A moment of unity, they sit in quiet together, Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Aberforth. Kreacher curls at their feet. Outside, rain begins as a song, not harsh but rhythmic, like protection. Harry tells Aberforth about their finds, the diadem, the snitch's message, the Hufflepuff cup. Aberforth listens gravely. He stands, nods, and returns with a small mirror fragment, a shard from the missing piece of the mirror of Erised left in Dumbledore's home. He places it in Harry's hand. It belonged to your cousin, he says. She'd meant it to guide you. Harry holds the mirror piece, its surface dark and fathomless. He sees his own weary reflection. He flicks his gaze to the others. Ron, and Hermione watching him with quiet pride. He smiles a tired, heartfelt smile. Choosing what matters, Harry places the mirror shard alongside the snitch and diadem in his cloak pocket. The weight feels right. Together, they prepare to leave, beyond Aberforth's hospitality, into destiny. They step out of the cottage under Aberforth's lantern, hearts calm, spirits tethered. Stepping toward dawn outside, the rain has softened to mist. Their paths splinter, but remain tethered in promise. Harry hugs the mirror shard briefly. He whispers, I know what matters. And with that quiet conviction, they walk into the mist, into their final choices. Chapter 29. The Lost Diadem. Dawn at Hogwarts' edge. The first light of dawn filters softly along the paths that lead to Hogwarts. Mist curls low over the grounds, settling in the hollows of the Black Lake and drifting through the tree lines. The gentle hush of an awakening castle surrounds them as Harry, Hermione, and Ron approach the familiar gates. Their faces carry the light of purpose a kinder spirit might cast. Each pace, each step, stirs centuries of memory amid the echoing, walls they once called wonder-filled home. Hermione checks her watch, early, quiet, hopeful. Ron grips his wand as though it were an anchor. Harry pauses, inhaling the dawn. His journey here is woven with weighty history. Horcruxes hunted, friends lost, hearts bared. They pass through Hogwarts' grand gate one by one, like travelers returning home not to rest, but to rescue something lost in time. Beyond the Great. Hall they drift down corridors that feel both familiar and distant. Muffled echoes of students long gone cling to the walls. Tower footfalls, laughter in distant corners. It all seems suspended in hush, waiting for them to piece truths back together. They pass the tapestry of Barnabas the Barmy, still archaic and lively. Portraits bleed curiosity but remain respectfully silent. The smell of old wood and parchment brushes their senses, carrying whispers of enchantments that offered comfort long ago. They head toward Ravenclaw Tower. A flight of stairs Hermione leads them into a narrow, spiraling stairwell. Each step creaks like a lullaby of memory beneath their feet. Light from their wands is soft amber, illuminating the worn edges of a centuries-old structure. The three emerge onto a landing overlooked by water jug sculptures and carved faces. Curtains flutter with a gentle draft. The silence feels holy. "Here," Hermione whispers. This nook was once mentioned in Dumbledore's notes. They move softly toward a wall panel that looks inconspicuous. No heralded crest or inscription, but it hums with dormant energy. Unlocking the hidden room, Harry reaches out, pressing spells Hermione whispered to him, soft incantations layered in the hush, and the panel shifts. A click, a ghostly breath of stone moving aside. A hidden room appears beyond, a tidy chamber lit by stained glass overhead, patterns washing the floor in muted colors. A few desks stand in careful rows. Crystal globes and telescopes gaze out. Through high windows. It is serene inside, a place meant for quiet thought, reflection, and reward by solitary magic. At its center sits a single pedestal carved of pale marble. Upon it rests the lost diadem of Rowena Ravenclaw, the ancient artifact they now seek. It is ornate, silver set with starling-shaped filigree, and in its metal, a central gemstone gleams faintly. Unpolished, yet potent with ancient heritage, echoing both wisdom and burden. Harry steps forward, heart coiled with awe, grief, remembrance, reverence. He touches it lightly. There is a whisper, softer than a sigh, older than memory, like breath across the back of his neck. He can almost hear Rowena's voice pleading, "Do not forget the value of learning, the dignity of humility, the strength in truth." Harry lifts the diadem. Its weight is gentle but exacting, a weighing of souls. He feels his reflection in the metal's curve, not just his own face, but those of everyone who took part in this journey. Hermione's soft courage, Ron's steady loyalty, Dumbledore's provoking brilliance and tragic humanity. He closes his eyes. A promise surfaces. "I will remember. I will be worthy." Only Harry can hold it. Hermione gently breaks the hush. "Harry, let's go." He nods, placing the diadem inside. Hermione's protective bag, a place already holding the cup of Hufflepuff and the thief's memory vial. The weight of essentials now hums softly inside. They turn to leave. Each step echoes like echoes of ancient footsteps. They move with care, sacred ritual, heartbeats synchronized, return through the night. Their departure from the room is slower, gentler, knowing that what they carry is more than magic. It is purpose. They pass statues, silent sentinels, and exit the tower with equal delicacy. Their passage breaks the dawn a little wider, let the castle breathe easier. They reach the ground floor, then the courtyard. The stone is cool but steady. Underfoot, Hermione folds herself quietly, as though folding time, a shared pause. They cross the grounds under an emerging sun. Harry stops beside the fountain near the door, holding the bag with tenderness. It has become a lead weight and a soft anchor. Ron stands to his left, Hermione on his right. Harry breathes low. 3 Horcruxes gone, a 4th found and hidden, and now, this. He glances at the morning sky, sunlight touching his hair. Maybe we're ready to finish this. Ron nods. Hermione squeezes Harry's shoulder. All 3 look inward, recognizing the gravity of tomorrow's decision. A promise under. Falling leaves, autumn leaves drift from surrounding trees, swirling at their feet. Harry tilts his head, letting a leaf land on his cloak. They fall, and the tree endures. He breathes out, soft, calm, resolved. Walking toward the next moment, Rowena cross the grounds, heading back into the castle's hush. Their journey will continue toward higher risks, colder truths, fiercer choices. Not yet tonight, but tomorrow. Tonight, they hold this moment. 3 friends, private and determined under early light. A world of sorrow and courage held in their hands. A castle of history shielding their resolve. Chapter 30. The Sacking of Severus Snape. Approaching castle under quiet midnight skies, Harry, Hermione, and Ron stand atop the cliff's edge, gazing down at Hogwarts, its towers dimmed, battlements silent, but its presence unwavering. The cold night air carries salt from the lake, mixing with the distant scent of autumn's first frost. This castle, once sanctuary, now fortress, holds answers they've journeyed far to reclaim. They share a breath. No words needed. Sneaking in using Aberforth's secret passage behind the Hog's Head, they re-enter the castle in hushed unity. Stone corridors stretch before them, lit by occasional torchlight. Shadows pool in alcoves, cloaking them in silence. Their footsteps echo only in tandem with their shared purpose, to discover Snape's role and understand what awaits them. Entering the Great Hall, they emerge into the Great Hall, vast, empty, its long tables cleared, banners draped in silence. The enchanted ceiling shows faint moonlight and scattered stars, as if the night sky gathered within four walls. They move past the head table, frozen in a hush of expectant quiet. Here, the weight of memory gathers like a pulse, feasts, triumphs, sorrow. Now, it's their arena. Guarded steps, their wands drawn softly, they advance toward the staff tables, where Severus Snape's place sits still, as though waiting. Each footstep carries the tension of unseen history, the complexity of loyalty, betrayal, and courage. Ron grips his wand tight. Hermione's voice is small and steady. Quiet. Finding the headmaster's office. They slip out through side corridors toward the stone entrance of the headmaster's office. The gargoyle remains motionless, unreadable in its invitation. Harry steps forward, whispers the password. The portrait glides aside, revealing the winding steps upward, and then light. A single lantern dancing in soft luminescence. A solemn reflection. Inside, the office is silent except for Snape's heavy breathing. He stands behind the serene desk, still in robes of the headmaster's office, but his expression drawn tight with fatigue. He doesn't turn immediately. He simply stands, watched, measured. Beginning. A test of trust. Harry steps forward. Severus! Snape turns, eyes sharp and raw. Potter, he says in a voice both thin and thunderous. Granger, Weasley. Hermione's hand hovers near her wand, Ron's posture clenched tight. But Harry pauses, still, deliberate, questioning the silence. Harry asks softly, "Why were you there? In the staff table?" Snape's shoulders shift. His voice is cold and tight. He doesn't need to explain, but he does. He speaks of warning, of silent orders, of hidden duty. He speaks of Dumbledore's wishes, truth too heavy carried in private. Harry listens. Uncovering layer Snape moves to the windowsill, gazing out at the silent towers. He tells them of Voldemort's suspension, of Hogwarts, a bastion now used for battle and control. He tells of traitors within, of his dangerous path serving two masters, treading a razor's edge. Harry softens, but doesn't lower his wand. The test of authenticity. Ron finally breaks. If you were loyal, if you helped, he falters. Where's your proof? Snape places one cold hand on Harry's table, then pulls down a vial filled with thick silvery memories. He hands it to Hermione. Her wand hovers above, then lowers. Harry's gaze softens with recognition. The slither of a diary page, a whisper of conversation, intimacies long kept. The memory shared Hermione taps the vial with her wand. The memory arcs across the room. In living haze, Snape and Dumbledore speaking of loyalty, of sacrifice, of Hogwarts, of Harry, of futures saved. In the reflection, Harry sees himself as a boy, deserved of love and forgiveness. Harry turns to face Snape. Tears quiet the edge of his eyes. Snape's expression is unreadable, stern, weary, possibly grateful, though he would never admit. Forging connection, Harry's voice is gentle. Thank you. No grandeur, no applause, just whispered honesty. Snape nods, voice hoarse. He did not do it for me. Harry watches him, the portrait of a man misunderstood, miscarried in rumor. Agreement to act without words, Harry pauses, then places a hand on the vial, as though it's a promise. Ron steps forward. We need you. Now. Snape's head bows. Small shift, allegiance accepted. The door opens. Snape moves toward the pensive, guiding them within. Faces ghostly, corridors longer, but the air less burdened. Hermione retrieves memories of Hogwarts, long forgotten. Spells, hidden passages, friend as ally, enemy as trap. They understand. Hogwarts itself holds the final key. These halls may betray or protect. A promised return. Hermione lowers the vial and looks at Harry. His nod is quiet, but resolute. Snape steps back. Chambers lighten. The pensive's glow dims. They sheath wands, not as victors, but as companions. Knights. And they leave the office. Harry glances back. Snape's silhouette lingers in lamplight. Ron and Hermione share his look, relieved, cautious, hopeful. Outside, the damp courtyard offers renewal in silence. A trail. Under stars, they descend Hogsmeade. Steps. No words backward, only forward. Kreacher joins silently behind. The night feels softer, not safer, but steadier. Harry knows the road ahead is still dark. But tonight, Hogwarts shelters them again. Not just as a place, but as a promise. Chapter 31. The Battle of Hogwarts. Dawn of the final stand. The sky over Hogwarts is heavy and gray, as though aware of what the day must hold. Dawn breaks in muted swirls above towers and courtyards. Every stone seems to hold its breath. The castle, ancient and storied, stands firm, prepared for the storm. Within the walls, students and teachers gather, each hand clasped, each face set to a purpose beyond fear. Harry, Hermione, Ron, Ginny, Neville, everyone finds their place. Among defenders, wings of hope spread wide, even as tension pulses through the air. Gathering in the courtyard, Harry stands before his friends, his cloak wrapped close, the trio's shared trophies hidden beneath. Hermione's expression is calm, resolute. Ron grips his wand as though it is an extension of his soul. Around them, faces familiar and new form a circle. Professors, allies, creatures of courage. Kreacher drifts near the edges. The weight of responsibility sits quietly on every shoulder. Harry's voice is steady, soft, yet sure, as a single candle flame. Today we stand together, not just to fight, but to save what's good in this world. We stand for each other. The hush that follows is gentle and real. The first clash as Voldemort's army surges forward, death rattlers of magic, order and strength flicker to life. Curses explode in symphonies of color. Shields of spells weave like guardians born of breath. Towering battalions of defenders hold ground. They push back on stone and grass and sky. Harry sees Neville extend his wand toward the statue of the Grey Lady's winged boar. Stones tremble to life, allies risen from dust. A great surge of elemental fury follows, and the defenders hold. Into the depths, Harry, Hermione, and Ron navigate corridors turned battlefield. Furniture overturned, torches down, banners shredded, shadows dart, voices cry warnings, shouts, of spell and resistance. Under the banners of the Order and Hogwarts, they move toward the Chamber of Secrets, toward the final Horcrux hidden beneath. At the locket's site, the locket Horcrux throbs in a dark nook below Snape's portrait, a place of echoes and half-lit stone. Ron's wand trembles. Hermione stands guard. Harry holds the basilisk fang. He crimsons at the memory of Tom Riddle's diary, the swirl of voices guarding secrets. With steady breath, he plunges the fang into the locket. Metal cracks, soul splinters. The world shudders. They watch as Horcrux dissolves in acid-like splash, unmaking an ancient echo of dark design. The weight lifts. Hermione exhales. Quiet. Triumph. Defender's heart. They retreat up stone stairs. The castle rumbles beneath feet. Buildings tremble as dark magic eats at the stones. Lights flicker. They race through the dungeons toward the Great Hall. Patrons of history, the Marauders' maps echoes, Hogwarts ghosts, watch as the war pulses through corridors. At every turn, brave faces. Hufflepuff, Gryffindor, human. Choice. Stand firm. They falter, but rise again. Severus Snape's memory revealed. Before they can join the final confrontation, Harry halts at the door of the headmaster's office. Hermione brings the pensive before him. Harry breathes. It's time. He plunges his hand into the silver pool of memory. He sees Snape and Dumbledore, raw with heavy truths. He sees the whistle of the Elder Wand, the silence of trust, the sacrifice misunderstood until now. Bombs of revelations kindle and fade. Every revelation makes the war less about vengeance and more about honor. Harry emerges from the memory, tears steady. They are not of loss this time, but of undeniable loyalty. The final confrontation draws within the walls of the Great Hall. All gather. Professors, students, allies, the petrified silver statue of Rowena Ravenclaw standing sentinel. The walls hum with expectancy. The night beyond the windows is still, expectant. Voldemort enters. The final darkness given physical form. His voice rings, cold and loud as a death knell. Harry steps forward, wand raised. So do Hermione and Ron, Ginny and Neville, Hagrid and Luna. Their eyes light with firm refusal, with fury born of love. Wands that choose hope. The first spell ripples between Harry and Voldemort, not a clash of wizards, but of allegiances. Inside the silent current of magic, history rewinds and rushes forward. In a moment's silence, they separate. No spark, no storm. Then one voice stands clear. Neville. Sword bright in hand stands center. Proof, resistance living, defiance of death. The Elder Wand recognizes true change. The quiet fall Voldemort's curse strikes, but rebounding, faltering, in fleeting hesitation. The power of love unites against the singular malice, hinging, dissolving, undone. A final bolt of green. Flickers and the Dark Lord falls. The hall exhales. After the storm silence floods, the living hold each other. Tears drift in the lamplight. Harry finds Ron and Hermione, tightly entwined. Ginny races forward. They stand as one, as if held within one body of hope. And above, the stars beyond the enchanted ceiling are clear. Again, the castle rebuilds itself in the calm that follows. Dawn's promise. They stand in the courtyard at morning's quiet. Dust settles. The air tastes like grief's womb and hope's blossom. Flowers heave through cracks in stone. Reminders of endurance and renewal. Harry, Hermione, Ron step forward. Harry squeezes Hermione's hand, and Ron's, "We did it!" Hermione softly answers, "Together," and Ron, "This time, they chose hope." World reborn under quiet. Suns, the wind drifts through the towers. Hogwarts lives. A promise reawakens. Even in the darkest story, the bravest heartbeat can prevail. Tonight, the castle breathes easier. Tonight, hope stands tall. Chapter 32. The Elder Wand. Dawn, beyond battle. The first light after the storm slips quietly across the courtyard of Hogwarts, soft gold that patches damp stone with promise. Groans and distant song rise as survivors emerge, all souls held together by loss and love. Dust drifts in motes as they begin to gather, and Harry stands apart for a moment, his breath steady, his gaze still as he watches the castle wake. He still holds the Elder Wand, the one object that tempted rulers, dictators, and dark hearts. Now in his hand, it is weightless, unassuming. He allows himself to see it without ambition, only responsibility. Quiet tapestries of loss and renewal. Around him, friends embrace. Muddy robes, tear-streaked faces, beams of relief and disbelief. Ginny's warmth in a gentle hug, Hermione's steady grip, Ron's crooked grin tempered by tears. Harry turns and drifts toward Hagrid. They stand in understanding silence. The big man's eyes blur as he squeezes Harry's arm. They move together toward the great oak doors, worn but welcoming, leading to the procession of healing. Gathering of survivors. In the great hall, everyone has convened. Professors, students, battle-scarred fighters. Some bear injuries, others bear stories. All share the same hush that ripples with an unspoken symphony of hope. Harry takes the Elder Wand forward, heart slow, every eye respectful but worn with the sorrow and triumph of today. He sets the wand gently on Dumbledore's dais, then looks across the crowd. I could claim it. His voice echoes soft stone. But the world doesn't need a new master of power. It needs rest. It needs healing. A pause. Let it die with me. He steps back. The wand remains unmoved, but the air seems lighter. The wielding of choice Hermione crosses to him, her eyes filled with unspoken joy and relief. She places her hand next to his. He looks at the broken, mended wand, the one he carried to protect the past and to guide the future. He murmurs softly, "This is enough." She nods. Ron steps forward to join both. Together, they leave Dumbledore's dais and exit Hogwarts together. No one holding power, only promise. Outside, under new skies, stepping onto the courtyard stones again, the first whispers of new life swirl in their chests. Above them, the sky swells with hopeful sun. Below, the grass glistens, green and forgiving. Harry squeezes Hermione's hand. Ron smiles. They walk together, without legerdemain, without pretense, just friends launching into what might come next. Gathering the components, they walk into Hagrid's shadowed forest, a place full of roots and rebellion. There, Bill, Fleur, Luna, Neville, Ginny, and others help them bury the Elder Wand piece by piece, each segment cast gently into the ground to rest with ancient trees. As students and allies lay hands on the wand, they speak forgiveness. The Eolf wood sinks into moss and roots. The pieces face only Morgana's last curse, allowed to return to the land. Later, Bill reads Lilith's inscription reversed. Where no body lays, peace grows. The ground is seeded with new hope. Returning to Shell Cottage, their path leads them back to the sea-swept cottage. Shell Cottage, where quiet meals and conversations had sown renewal in their tired gifts. They return with the snitch, the locket, the cup, the diadem, all reunited. Harry places them on the table and covers each with a cloth. He watches the sea through the wide window, its horizon bright with possibility. Telling the tale with friends, they gather around the table and tell their stories of battle and grief, of death and survival, of mercy, magic, and mercy. Hermione outlines the steps ahead: rebuilding Hogwarts, mending ministry fractures, teaching new generations what happens when power betrays and when love redeems. Ron grins as he recalls Neville's bravery. Ginny laughs softly when mention is made of Fred's laughter echoing during the final push. Harry's voice breaks only once, when he thanks each of them, their stones in his foundation. Their tears fall, but warmth rises. Acceptance before. Evening, the light outside wanes, drifting to lazy gold behind the horizon. They finish the final promise, a gentle goodbye to the wand, and a quiet welcome to each other. Harry places the Elder Wand's cloth-wrapped piece in a trunk bearing Dumbledore's crest. He shut the lid. The wooden chest is soft align indoors, finishing. They walk away together, a night of quiet rest. That night, beneath kindly blankets and the hush of sea breeze, the trio drifts into rest. Harry falls asleep to Luna's whispered stories. He holds Ginny's hand and breathes steady, knowing destiny may be kind as dawn. New beginnings in whispered hearts. Under a moonlit porch, Harry moves to the edge of the cottage and watches a lights flicker across the dunes. There he lets the Elder Wand's weight become a memory. He whispers to empty dune air, not power, only possibility. And with that final thought, he steps back, not just as a survivor, but as someone renewed. Sunrise promise. The early morning sun wakes the world gently. Harry, Hermione, Ron walk the shore in bare feet, touching sand, salt in hair, feet warm on earth. No questions, no pressing urgency, just companionship. They walk toward a new day. Not heralded by trumpets, but by soft waves and shared resolve. Quiet echoes of what was their shadows trail behind them, long and connected, but they are not cast by a wand. Instead, unity and human affection weave the night's tapestry, and as the dawn spreads across sky and sea, hope cradles the future. Chapter 33. The Prince's Tale. Dawn in the Great Hall. The first light of morning drifts through fractured windows of the Great Hall, painting the shattered banners in soft gold. A hush reigns among the wounded stones. Times of fighting have passed, but the air still hums with memories. Survivors and healers gather around long tables, murmuring thanks and wonder. Among them, Harry stands, reflective, burdened by victories and losses, but anchored in purpose. There is something left unsaid, a story waiting to surface, meaning waiting to be found. A whisper to Hermione. Harry quietly approaches the dais, where the pensieve waits. Hermione looks toward him, eyes warm and patient. He steps close, voice quiet. Will you come with me? She nods, wand in hand. Together, they step before the silvery pool. A dip into memory, Harry dips his hand into the pensieve, and silver mist, intangible and soft, rises to draw them in. The world recalibrates. They find themselves in an elegantly lit room of stone, walls and polished wood, the Slytherin dungeons. A young Severus Snape stands before Dumbledore. His black hair is longer, his face still young, but his eyes have a heavy impatience. Across from him, Dumbledore's voice is slow kindness, gentle like rainfall. You loved her, Severus. The young Severus stiffens, nods, his soul bared. Lily. And Severus, the memory shifts, showing a school corridor. Severus speaking in rushed whispers to a yellow-haired girl, Lily. Her laugh echoes, bright and gentle. Their friendship is like a quiet song, notes drifting between them with every shared look. They speak of plants, of home, of fears. He protects her. She trusts him. A moment of tenderness holds still. A bitter shift. Next memory. Snape outside. The Black House. Transformation in his expressions. Bloodied cauldrons. A letter accepted, then torn. Love and loyalty fraying at broken edges. The world tightens around him. He watches Lily's laughter fade as new friends crowd in. The golden-haired idol he adored drifts toward James, toward Houselight. Confrontation at the lake. They walk again through a night-shrouded lake path. Snape confronts Harry's father and his friends. A bully moment, yes, but brimming with deeper twisted passions, longing, jealousy, defiance. James's taunt lands. Snape's fury blooms. He yells, "You'll be sorry when she hates you." Lily's face flicks between both, soft horror in her eyes, and the bond breaks. A double. Betrayal memory shifts again. Young Severus standing at the shattered Weasley pool. He hands Dumbledore a leaflet. Voldemort is returning. He betrays them to protect Lily. Hair oily, voice trembling. His action is tortured sacrifice, but betrayal nonetheless. Dumbledore stands still, sorrow in his gaze. The promise and redemption Severus pledges to Dumbledore, voice low. If she dies, I'll help defeat him. I'll do whatever it takes. Dumbledore's stance softens. Then you'll have to walk a path darker than any you've known. The hidden door. They step through. Doorways into darker halls. Snape walking alone, choosing light at the edge of darkness. Eventually, they stand at a memory of Hogwarts under starless night, Dumbledore making his final request. Promise me one last thing. Protect Mr. Potter. Snape's face locks in. Iron resolve. The weight of years descends in silence. Return to the room, the pensive ripples as Harry and Hermione surface again. Harry blinks in the light. Snape's sacrifice still wields impact. Quiet, unseen, but present. Hermione's voice is soft. He loved her first. Harry breathes out, understanding the threads uniting past and present. Breaking the quiet together, they step away. The hall's silence welcomes them as they emerge from the memory. Harry's gaze rests on the pensive, fragile, and full of secrets. He knows the full scope now. Love, regret, sacrifice, the silent tapestry beneath the storm. Acknowledging Severus, Harry finds Snape's portrait in the staff hallway, empty frame where none should be. He kneels. He murmurs, "Thank you." His words rest softly on cold stone. Shared understanding. Hermione joins him. Ron arrives quietly. They do not speak. They
only stand in solidarity, no applause needed.
Silence speaks their thanks. A calm return, they step out into morning's gentle sun, leaving Harry's hand hovering above Severus's etched name. Renewed steps, Harry finds his friends, Ginny, Neville, Luna. Moments stretch, a living embrace. Talt. No, they carry the scars, but also the reasons for hope. Snape's hidden acts of love, a legacy that binds. Looking toward tomorrow, Harry looks skyward. No thunder. No storm. Only light. He breathes in. It tastes like fresh pencils, crisp pages, hopeful autumn. He knows the world may still need them, but together, they are strong. Quiet. Beyond, in the hush that follows, Harry's voice whispers to himself, mercy. First. Always. In trust, they walk forward into the new day. Friends, survivors, guardians. Chapter 34. The Forest Again. Twilight's Invitation. The afternoon light fades soft around Hogwarts, turning gold to rose to silver under a dusky sky. Harry, Hermione, and Ron walk in quiet steps toward the edge of the Forbidden Forest. It is not the school they remember, but an echo of old trials, hushed secrets, and final reckonings. Every bird call feels like a distant lullaby, every rustle in the leaves a gentle whisper of what must come. They leave footprints in moss-damp earth as they go. Their breaths come slow, synchronized with the forest's heartbeat. Tonight, Harry walks not as a boy hiding, but as a man unafraid, ready to meet whatever awaits. A farewell to friends. The forest opens onto a glade bathed in trap shadows. Inside, the champions of Hogwarts, Hagrid, Neville, Luna, Ginny, and the resistant professors stand silent in a ring of lanterns and moonlight. Their faces shine with steely love in tears and faint smiles. It is a moment without words, but with every look they say, "We carry you with us." Harry steps forward. Neville. And Luna lay a soft blanket upon the grass, embroidered with caring, small gifts, pastries, dry robes, cloaks warmed by friendship. Ginny meets him with a steady hug, her eyes steady with unspoken courage. He visits each champion quietly, touches Hagrid's great hand, offers Luna a nod of appreciation, shares an unspoken promise with Neville to continue growing long after. Tonight. Hermione's hand squeezes his fingers. Ron stands silent but proud. Onward into shadows. When Harry steps beyond the circle, the air presses close. The trees lean inward, shadow-draped and ancient. Wand light flickers with each step. His heart carries no fear now, only certainty and a graceful release. He remembers past entries into the forest, chalice hunting, whispers of dark magics, cold stones. This time, the forest itself feels like a midwife, tending to endings and beginnings. Under branch and moon, they walk in silence until a clearing opens under the pale moon. There stands a small, solitary tree, a white birch, leaves gently shimmering. Under its trunk lies a soft bed of ferns, moss and wildflowers, set like nature's throne. Harry kneels beneath the branches. He draws his wand. A final conversation, he speaks softly to the open night. I don't want to die like this, but if I must, if it ends, let it be with choice. Let it be for them. He closes his eyes and inhales the night, the cool air tasting of wild earth and fading flowers. A gentle surrender. He lies across the roots, like returning to his mother's arms. Wand rests against his palm. His cloak cradles him. He breathes, shallow. He recalls Lily's love, Sirius's laughter, Dumbledore's cautious hope, Dobby's farewell, Snape's final clarity. He breathes out, for them, I go. The last breath. The forest falls silent. Harry closes his eyes. He feels no pain, no fear, just soft fading. A reaction in stillness inside the ring of lanterns. Hermione presses her wand to her heart. Tears glisten on her cheeks. Ron's lips tremble. Their wands are ready, not weapons, but prayers. No sound but the world's slow. Breath, unexpected light, then a wisp of silver. A tall doe Patronus steps into sight. She circles Harry's resting form and glows in the dim light. Her presence swirls peace into the air. The wands lower. Their hope is full, but silent. The doe watches with ancient eyes. Behind her, the forest hums like a breath released. A shift in the wind, then a faint rustle. Death Eaters, cloaked in sorrow, step into the clearing, drawn by the ritual. They search, raised wands, but cannot see. Their motives flicker in moonlight. Professor McGonagall appears at the edge, eyes steady. And Hagrid's roar, Neville's cry, they form a shield of living love. The Death Eaters falter and vanish back into darkness no light can chase. Returning to the form, the doe steps closer, nose brushing Harry's forehead. Instinctive communion. His chest rises. One more breath. He opens his eyes. Above, a sliver of moonlight through branches. A whispered goodbye. Harry sits up slowly. The doe circles him once more, then stops. She dips her head. Bent. It is over. She turns into mist and merges into the trees. Harry stands. He looks toward where his friends stand, eyes dim with relief and awe. A slow reclamation. They come forward, Hermione and Ron first. They help him stand. They embrace, a soft coalition of souls reunited. Hagrid drifts in, tears purling in his deep eyes. Neville, Luna, Ginny converge with hopeful energy. Every embrace carries gratitude, wonder, sisterhood. A path to dawn, they walk from the clearing. Together, arms clasped, footsteps slow, Harry's wand is ready, but his eyes shine with life. Dawn at Hogwarts, they return inside. Fall light filters through stained glass. The castle breathes again with the energy of hope. A ceremony is held. Words are whispered, hands placed in solidarity. Harry, Hermione, Ron stand on the dais, no longer boys, but guardians of tomorrow. After the forest's shadow, that night, under candlelit ceilings, they retreat to the common room, safe, warm, loved. Harry falls asleep in Hermione's side, Ron's arms steady across her shoulders. The forest's hush lies behind them, but its peace remains inside. Newer suns, outside the sky brushes toward dawn once more, clean as new parchment. Harry thinks, I returned, because there is all that remains to build. Steps forward. Trio steps into morning light, less certain than brave, more whole than they once were. They walk forward together, a path wide with promise. Chapter 35, King's Cross. Drifting through light, Harry's eyes open to gentle brightness, an ethereal glow that hums with calm. The air is unfamiliar, clean, like morning after a storm. He senses no weight, no pulling, just a breeze that brushes his cheek with quiet kindness. He rises onto feet that feel weightless and strong. Nothing aches, nothing trembles. He looks around. He stands barefoot upon marble floors strewn with fragments of past seasons, and the room stretches high into soft white arches. This is neither forest nor castle. The walls are pristine, vein-like, glowing. He cannot see its ceiling. It dissolves into light. A footstep echoes behind him. A man appears, gentle and unhurried, in a coat pale as stone, his hands clasped, his eyes kind. The man's slow smile is familiar. Within him, Harry recognizes both comfort and constraint. It is Albus.
Dumbledore, alive perhaps, but not as Harry remembered. A question in the stillness, Professor?
Harry whispers. His voice is soft, cautious. Dumbledore inclines his head but does not speak yet. Instead, he gestures with a faint wave of his hand. Light shifts. An empty, childlike train platform appears, rails stretching into a fog that vibrates like quiet hope. A platform sign reads, King's Cross. Harry moves forward, uncertainty and wonder commingling. Am I dead? He asks. The question comes without fear, more like a turning point, a gentle threshold. Dumbledore remains still. His voice, when it comes, is a murmur. It seems you have been struck by a powerful curse, an echo, not an ending. You are between worlds. Harry nods slowly, absorbing. Memories in motion. They walk toward the phantom train platform under calm arches. Each gentle footstep echoes a memory. Harry asks quietly, "Why am I here?" "Because there is much left to do," Dumbledore says. "Because life, death, and choice converge in the most ordinary moments." They pass two ghosts, a boy in glasses, a girl in braided hair, Harry's younger self, and Ron. They stop, and the air brightens, as if the day itself has paused. The younger Harry turns, recognizes the older, and smiles. Not smug, just sad and hopeful. Harry nods back, tears rising, a look between them, acknowledging the journey, understanding and forgiveness. Dumbledore leads Harry to a small bench under the platform canopy. Light drifts and hush deepens. They speak of mercy, love, regret. Dumbledore's eyes glisten. "Harry, everything you've done, every sacrifice, even your willingness to die, you have reshaped the world." Harry studies the arching roof, shadows, dancing. He asks, "Is it worth it?" Dumbledore's sigh is gentle. "It has been terrible, and yet there is beauty left." He pauses. "You have chosen mercy, even for people who never favored it." Harry exhales. The memory rolls gently in his chest. Reunion and resolve. The train whistles. Soft steam curls on the platform. A feeling pulls at Harry's chest. A desire not for rest, but for final finding. He senses his friends, still alive. The memory glimmers, bright with promise. He stands. He places his hand on Dumbledore's elbow. "I want to go back." Dumbledore smiles, the sadness eased. "Then go, Harry." Light shifts again. The train pulls up, a lone carriage open, empty. Harry steps in. The door closes behind him. Dumbledore nods once, so slight, but resolute. Momentum. Forward. Inside the carriage, Harry sits. The walls are smooth white. Windows glimmer. Light pours. Instos no sound of wheels, but he feels momentum. He closes his eyes. He hears distant laughter. Ron's laugh, Hermione's hum, Ginny's whispers. Even Hagrid's rumble in memory. Then, silence. Just the blur of bright nothingness. Arrival at reintegration. The carriage slows. Light dims. Inside, Harry senses a heartbeat, his own. He steps out into solidity, the Hogwarts courtyard at dawn, bathed in fresh gold. No battle smoke, no lingering alarms. It's the end of things, the official end. Friends burst forward, hands, laughter, tears. Ginny collapses into his arms. Ron leaps to the side, hugging Hermione. Neville stands smiling. Luna brushes his hair. They are joy-worn, alive. Harry looks up at Dumbledore, who stands in the crowd, plate of paper in hand, a proud smile. Harry's heart warms. He steps forward. Dumbledore's blessing. Dumbledore raises his hand. Not a wand, but a greeting. Return to life, Harry. But more than that, return to love. Harry nods, breath catching. The crowd sways. The moment settles soft and steady like sunset. Choice reaffirmed. That night, Harry stands by the lakeshore, wand in pocket. Dumbledore's words flicker in memory. Return to love. He pulls the snitch from his cloak. He opens its wings. Inside, hidden, the resurrection stone. For a heartbeat, he thinks about using it. But soft moonlight glitters on the water. He closes the snitch with quiet finality, not to use power, but to accept what was, what is, and what remains in life. He casts it into the lake, the stone and snitch together, sent to rest. A gentle epilogue inside the castle. Harry returns the phantom snitch box to the headmaster's office. It sits alongside the broken wand, the hidden pensive, and the elder wand case on the corner table, out of sight but not forgotten. He walks halls, no longer haunted. He reaches out to Neville, Luna, Ginny, conversations speaking of healing classrooms and new teachers. He finds Hermione and Ron in the library, mundane laughter, homework, blueprinting tomorrow. Harry joins them. Their smiles cradle him home. Sunrise. Reborn outside, Hogwarts gardens wake, buds unlaced, fountains singing, pebbles strolling toward pathways. Harry steps into soft templates of future joy and healing. As he walks, he remembers the forest, the castle, the train station, the voyage, between life and love. And in that memory sits the truth. What matters is who we choose to be when we return. Chapter 36, The Flaw in the Plan. A silent battlefield. The air hangs heavy in the aftermath. The battle is still, the corridors quiet, yet the echo of spells and cries still seems to tremble in the stone. Outside the great hall, dawn spills, slowly across the broken stone floor. And Harry, newly returned from the realm between, walks quietly through the scene of what has been. He is not greeted with applause. There is no rush of victory songs, only soft breaths, exhausted movements, the shuffling of those who remain. He walks among the wounded and the mourning, his eyes gentle but focused. Something is unfinished. Something still waits. Into the heart of the hall, Harry enters the great hall. The long tables are gone, replaced with rows of the injured and the dead. Families kneel beside loved ones, faces buried in shoulders. Lupin and Tonks lie side by side, pale and unmoving, hands nearly touching. Fred Weasley's body rests nearby, and George kneels with his head bowed low. Harry pauses. A quiet ache settles over him, but he doesn't stop. Not yet, because Voldemort is still outside, still speaking. A voice over the grounds lord. Voldemort's voice echoes through the air, not through speakers or charms, but in the stillness of every mind. He calls Harry to surrender, claims victory, dares those remaining to give him over, promises mercy, an empty promise echoing with threat. But the voice no longer strikes fear. Its power has thinned. His words drift like a last cold breeze before spring. The quiet walk. Harry walks alone through the castle, descending stone steps and shadowed halls. Along the way, he sees eyes watching, students, teachers, centaurs beyond the windows. He passes Ginny and Ron and Hermione, too. Their expressions waver with questions and pleas. But Harry simply nods. He knows what must happen, not because it is heroic, but because it is right. The final gathering on the grounds, Voldemort waits with his followers, Death Eaters watching in stiff silence. Hagrid is there too, bound, tear-streaked,
believing Harry to be dead. But now Harry emerges, alive, walking, calmly toward the Dark Lord. Gasps rise, eyes widen. Even the Death Eaters seem to shudder. Voldemort's expression falters, briefly, but he recovers. He speaks again, demanding obedience, declaring destiny. But Harry softly does not raise his wand. He raises his voice. The truth revealed, Harry steps forward and speaks, not as a warrior, but as a witness. He tells the gathered crowd of Snape's truth, of sacrifice made in silence, of love that shaped a man's secret life. He speaks of how Voldemort misunderstood the Elder Wand, that its loyalty was never his, that by killing Snape, Voldemort only ended a life, not claimed a wand. And more than that, Harry reveals this. The wand's allegiance had shifted, not to Snape, but to the one who disarmed Draco Malfoy, to Harry. The final spell Voldemort, rattled but raging, raises his wand. And Harry, steady now, mirrors the motion. There is a hush, not of fear, but of fate. Then the final spell, Expelliarmus. Avada Kedavra. Twin lights meet, green and red, and in that burst, the wand flies from Voldemort's hand, spinning high into the air. He falls, not with thunder, not with screams, but like a shadow finally stepping aside for the light. Silence. Then sunrise. Voldemort lies still. His face is empty of triumph or terror. The hall is hushed, uncertain. Then slowly, it stirs. Hagrid bursts into tears. McGonagall bows her head. The centaurs emerge from the woods, and the house elves pour from the kitchens, cheering, their freedom returned. The battle is over, but Harry does not stand in the center. He does not seek praise, he steps back. Letting go of power, in the quiet that follows, Harry enters Dumbledore's office. The Elder Wand sits heavy in his hand, a wand of legend, of history, of violence. He does not keep it. Instead, with a calm breath, he snaps it in half. Not for show, not for legacy, but to end the cycle. Returning to what matters, in the days that follow, repairs begin. Laughter slowly returns to Hogwarts halls, though some rooms will always echo with memories. Harry sits with Ron and Hermione on the castle steps. They speak not of glory, but of breakfast, of bed, of home. Ginny joins them, eyes soft. They all sit close, no longer needing words, the last glimpse of a boy. Who lived that night, Harry walks alone to the astronomy tower. He looks out over the lake. The moon hangs high, silver and still. He doesn't think of curses or hallows. He thinks of the burrow, of Mrs. Weasley's hug, of Sirius's laugh, of Dobby, brave and small, of Snape's eyes, Lily's eyes. He thinks of all who gave their light, and he understands. The flaw in the plan was thinking death was the final word. But it never was, love was, and always will be. Epilogue. 19 years later. A platform of seasons past it is the 1st of September, and the platform at King's Cross is golden with the hush of early morning. The scarlet train waits, steam curling soft and silver around its wheels, its windows glinting in the sun. Families move about the platform, chattering, adjusting cloaks, brushing dust from sleeves. But among them is one man who once stood at the edge of destiny. Harry Potter, now older, quieter, and unburdened, walks beside his wife, Ginny. Their sons, James Sirius and Albus Severus, carry trunks and owl cages, excitement tumbling from their mouths in waves. Their daughter, Lily Luna, too young yet to board the train, clutches her mother's hand and watches everything with wide, shining eyes, the gentle weight of time. Harry's hair is still dark, but traces of age now soften his face. His glasses remain, and the scar, the lightning bolt, is still there, but faded with years and peace. It hasn't hurt him in nearly 2 decades. He walks slowly, savoring the moment. There are no curses here, no fear, just the sweet ache of time passing. He sees familiar faces among the crowd. Ron and Hermione are there. Ron looking as though he still can't quite believe he's grown up. Hermione with her usual mixture of pride and mild exasperation. Their daughter Rose is beside them, sharing nervous glances with young Albus, who will be starting his first year at Hogwarts. Teddy Lupin, now 17 and full of laughter, waves from further down the platform, his hair changing color with every step. He has no parents here to see him off, but Harry sees him, always sees him, like a promise remembered. A father's gentle words as the train prepares to leave, Albus lingers. He is unsure, afraid of which house he will be sorted into, afraid of how he will be seen, of who he is allowed to become. He turns to his father, whispering the worry aloud. What if I'm in Slytherin? Harry kneels, his voice low and even, as though casting a spell of reassurance. If you're in Slytherin, he says, then Slytherin will have gained a wonderful wizard. He places a hand gently on his son's shoulder. Albus Severus, you were named for 2 headmasters of Hogwarts. One of them was a Slytherin, and he was the bravest man I ever knew. Albus nods slowly. His father smiles. The Sorting Hat takes your choice into account. It did for me. There is no pressure in his words, only love, steady and unshaken. Train moving forward. The whistle sounds, soft and slow. The train begins to roll forward and the children lean out the windows, waving. James disappears quickly, already swept into laughter and jokes. Rose sits neatly, nose in a book. Albus waves longer, his green eyes meeting his father's one last time. The train pulls away, through fog, through arches, through years. Harry watches it until only the rails remain, gleaming beneath the morning. Son Ginny slips her hand into his. Their fingers fit perfectly, echoes of what was. They turn slowly from the platform. The world is different now, less harsh, more kind. The boy who once carried the fate of everything on his shoulders now carries lunch wrappers and folded tickets in his pockets. And that, Harry thinks, is the greatest kind of magic. He glances toward the brick wall once more, the passage to platform 9 3/4, and feels something flutter in his chest. Not fear, not grief, just remembrance. Peace finally. The war is far behind them. The names of the fallen are spoken still, in story and in stone, but they are no longer cried in pain. Fred, Remus, Tonks, Dobby, Sirius, Snape, Colin. Their memories live, not as wounds, but as roots, deep in the hearts of the next generation. Harry does not forget them. He walks with them, carries them in the quiet places of his heart. But now he lives, truly lives. No longer the boy who lived, just Harry, a father, a husband, a friend, a lullaby in the light. As they leave the station, the city rises around them, but softer now and slower. Leaves fall from trees lining the street, golden and red. Children's laughter echoes behind them. A bird flits above the tracks. Ginny reaches for his hand again. They walk on, and as they go, the light drapes itself over them like a blanket. No more prophecies. No more wands raised in war. Just this, the world still turning, love still blooming, and peace, at last, gently settling over all. And so we sleep in this final hush, where steam meets sun and memory glows like an old candle flame. We say, good night to this tale. Harry Potter's story ends not with a battle cry, but with a wave, a whisper, a slow breath taken in peace. The train has gone. The platform is quiet. The journey at last has come home. Sleep now, dear listener. Sleep, with your heart full. The scar had not pained Harry for 19 years. All was well. Final reflection. A story of love, loss, and light. The end of a journey. The beginning of peace. So we come to the end, dear listener. to the soft hush after the storm, where the tale closes not with thunder, but with quiet footsteps returning. Home. After 7 years at Hogwarts, after 7 books filled with spells and sorrows, friendships and farewells, we reach a moment of stillness, where the world, though scarred, is healed. Where the past becomes story and story becomes memory, safe and warm in the folds of time. And what a story it was. From the cupboard beneath the stairs to the ruins of a fallen castle, from the flutter of a first letter to the soft silence of the final page. This journey has never truly been about magic. It has always been about love. The power that protected love. The oldest magic of all, the kind that cannot be taught in classrooms or stored in wands. It began with a mother's sacrifice, as Lily Potter gave her life not for a prophecy, but for her son. And that single choice, unseen, unthanked, changed everything. It continued in every act of quiet bravery, in Molly Weasley's knitted sweaters, in Sirius's offer of a home, in Lupin's quiet counsel, in Snape's tormented, unwavering protection. Love was never loud in this story. It did not always win battles, but it endured, it persisted, it outlived evil. The cost of war, still love, did not come without cost. This story did not shield us from loss. Fred, Tonks, Lupin, Dobby, Hedwig, their absences echoed through the pages like empty chairs at a table. Even victory did not erase their passing. But what Harry Potter teaches us gently, like a friend speaking in the dark, is that grief is not the end of love. It is its echo. Those who are gone remain in memory, in courage, in the choices we make to live more fully, more kindly because of them. The courage to choose throughout. This journey, choices mattered more than destiny. Over and over, characters were asked to decide, not who they were told to be, but who they chose to become. Harry chose to walk into the forest, not to be a hero, but to save others. Snape chose love over bitterness, even when the world misunderstood him. Neville chose to stand tall, even when he had every reason to shrink. Draco chose not to kill, even when pressured by fear. These were not grand, spotlighted moments, but they changed the shape of everything, because true courage is quiet, and often it comes not from power, but from kindness. Friendship, our strongest. Spell at the very heart of this tale was a trio: Harry, Hermione, and Ron. Their bond was not perfect. It frayed, it cracked, but it never broke. They quarreled, they feared, they doubted, but always they returned to each other. In the tent, beneath the stars, in the Chamber of Secrets, on the battlefield of Hogwarts, they were stronger together, and through them, we learned that friendship is not the absence of conflict. It is the decision, again and again, to return, to believe, to hold on. The quiet bravery of the forgotten. Many characters in this world moved quietly through the edges of the tale, yet each left ripples behind. Luna, with her dream-soft wisdom and wild-eyed truth. Neville, blooming from shy stumbles to fearless grace. Dobby, a free elf who died with no wand, but with a heart full of loyalty. Even characters like Kreacher, bitter and broken, found paths to redemption, proving that history need not define a soul. In this world, even the smallest voice could shape great things. Hogwarts always. And then there was the castle. Hogwarts, more than a school, more even than a home. A place alive with memories and secrets, where portraits whispered, ghosts roamed, and the very staircases shifted with the mood. For so many of us, it became a sanctuary, a dream tucked between book covers, a place to return to whenever the real world grew too sharp. And though this story has ended, Hogwarts remains, timeless, golden, waiting. The final spell, forgiveness. Perhaps the deepest, most human thread through this story is forgiveness, forgiving those who failed us, forgiving ourselves, Dumbledore who carried old sins, Snape who bore the weight of his mistakes, Harry who struggled with anger, with doubt, with grief, And in the end, there is healing, not because pain was erased, but because it was acknowledged, because even broken people can choose to be better. The boy who lived, the man who loved. Harry's final victory was not in destroying Voldemort. It was in becoming a man who could raise a child without fear, who could look his past in the eye and walk forward with peace. He did not become great by chasing power. He became great by laying it down, by choosing family over legacy, compassion over vengeance, humility over glory. And so, when we see him standing on that train platform, older, gentler, we understand the scar did not define him. His love did. For those who have walked with him, if you've come this far, dear listener, you've walked beside him. You've slept beside this story chapter by chapter. You've followed the path of shadows and spells, of laughter and tears. And now you too carry a piece of that world. In every kind word you offer, in every brave choice you make, in every moment you dare to love, even when it hurts. This story is yours now, and as you sleep, let this final thought settle over you like a soft cloak. You are never truly alone, not in the darkest forest, nor the deepest sorrow, not in grief, nor in joy. There is always light, if only we remember to turn toward it. So sleep now, in the company of stories. Let your dreams drift through castle towers and candlelit halls. Let them rest beside a giant's hut and a flying broom, beside a phoenix's feather and a golden snitch, and know that, no matter how long the night, the dawn always comes. The world is full of magic, yet all was well.